Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 9:07. May we have a roll call, please?
Good morning. All right. Kelly Mae Pham,
Present.
Tanya Fairley, Megan
Present.
Ellis,
Present.
Kelly Funk,
Present.
Reese Isbell,
Present.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez,
Present.
Colette Kavanaugh,
Present.
Tamika Miller,
Present.
Danielle Munoz,
Present.
Jacob Rostovsky, and Steve Weeks both absent today. We have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to move on to our first agenda item, or our second agenda item, petitions for reinstatement hearings. And I will turn it over to our Judge Corin Wong.
All right, thank you, Madam President. So I will call the matters in the order listed in the agenda. So first will be Randy Mitchell. Then the second one will be, I think I have these in order, will be Carlos Curiel. And then last but not least will be Antonio Galavez. So first, if we could go ahead and proceed with Randy Mitchell.
Hello.
Can you hear me okay, Mr. Mitchell?
Yes, sir.
All right, very good. So let's go ahead and go on the record. Of course.
Tricia, it looks like he has two microphones open with his WebEx. We have an echo issue here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay.
How's that?
Yes, that's better.
Okay.
And if you would like to turn your camera on, Randy, please feel free.
Camera? Okay.
All right, very good. Mr. Mitchell, can you still hear me okay?
Yes.
And I don't know if you intended to turn your camera on. If you did, we cannot see you.
I just turned it on.
You did not?
I did. Yeah. I mean, I
Oh,
can see.
okay, there we go. All right,
Okay.
we could see you. And can you
Okay.
see us okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. All right, so we are on the record before the State Board of Barbering and Cosmetology, Department of Consumer Affairs, State of California, in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of Randy Wayne Mitchell. It's OAH number 2024070168. My name's Corin Wong, and I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings, and I've been assigned to preside over this matter. In order to establish a quorum for the record, I will ask that each board member respond audibly after I call his or her name, please. President Pham,
Present.
Vice President Fairley, Ms. Ellis,
Present.
Ms. Funk,
Present.
Ms. Isbell,
Here.
Dr. Jimenez,
Here.
Ms. Kavanaugh,
Present.
Ms. Miller,
Present.
Ms. Munoz,
Present.
Mr. Rostovsky, and Mr. Weeks. Let the record reflect that a quorum is present. All right, next, if I could take the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General, please.
Anahita Crawford, Deputy Attorney General, appearing on behalf of the people of the state of California pursuant to Government Code Section 11522.
Okay. And sir, just for the record, are you Randy Wayne Mitchell?
Yes, sir.
And you're representing yourself today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Today is the day for the hearing on your petition for reinstatement. So shortly, Ms. Crawford will begin by introducing the petition documents and providing a summary of your license history and the prior discipline. And then the matter will turn over to you to present any testimony and evidence you'd like to provide in support of your petition. So I'll remind you that the board has had the benefit of receiving and reviewing the documents you submitted with your petition. So there isn't a need to repeat what's in the documents. However, if there's anything that you'd like to highlight that you believe is particular importance, feel free to do so. You'll hear Ms. Crawford in her summary talk about the prior discipline, and that's just to kind of give some context and background. The issue at today's hearing is not the prior discipline. The discipline has already been established. What the board is most interested in is hearing about any rehabilitation you have undergone since your prior discipline. So while you don't want to focus on the prior discipline, you certainly could reference it for context to explain any rehabilitation if you'd like to. Do you have any questions about that process?
No, sir.
Okay, and then after you present your evidence, I guess first, do you have any additional documents you wanted to produce?
I mean, I have some things here. When I sent them my stuff, my petition stuff, I didn't send it. I could have sent in hundreds of letters from customers and community stuff, but I just been trying to survive and feed my family, so it's been very tough for me not being able to cut hair and work. So, but I actually just got this right here. I do stuff like it's Rob Ginner, the Yuba County Superintendent of Schools. I do a lot of stuff with the community and the kids, and um, I mean, I do a backpack thing. I don't know if you guys seen it in the paper. We've been doing it for about 14 years. It's free haircuts and free backpacks
Okay,
and
so
free school supplies.
let me
So-
interrupt you just one
sorry.
moment, because you're starting to testify, and we'll take your testimony in a
Oh,
moment.
okay. I'm sorry. I
So,
apologize.
So since it wasn't part of the petition packet, it's a little hard to introduce it as a
Okay.
document for
All right.
today's hearing. You certainly could testify about it
Okay.
as you were.
Okay.
So, certainly talk about it when you come up in your
All
testimony.
right. My apologies.
No problem. Do you have any witnesses you wanted to call other than yourself?
No, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
so after you provide your testimony, Ms. Crawford will have the opportunity to ask you questions, and then the board will also have an opportunity to ask you questions. And then once you're done presenting your case, each side will be allowed to present any closing arguments they'd like to. And then after closing arguments, the record will be closed and the matter will be submitted for decision. The board will meet in closed session later today to discuss your petition. So you won't get a decision today, but you'll get a decision later on by mail. Okay,
Okay.
do you have any questions about the process thus far?
No, sir. How long does it take to get the decision?
It's usually up to about 130 days, sometimes sooner.
Really? Wow. Okay.
All right. All right, Ms. Crawford, if you'd like to provide your summary or the documents, whichever you'd like to do first.
Thank you, Your Honor. I do want to indicate that I am appearing on behalf of the Attorney General's office. I'm here to assist the panel in fact-finding. My role is not intended to be adversarial, but intended to protect the public interest, and I'm here to ensure the panel has adequate information from which to make a decision. I will provide a brief background to the board in Your Honor. The board issued a barber license to the petitioner on June 2nd of 2008. On August 8th of 2011, the board also issued an establishment license to the petitioner doing business as Uppercut Barbers located in Marysville. In December of 2019, the board issued a second establishment license to the petitioner doing business as Uppercut Barbers in Wheatland, California. In November of 2020, the board filed a petition for interim suspension order. The petition was based upon allegations that petitioner, despite several board-issued warnings, had refused to comply with state and county public health orders issued in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Additionally, petitioner had prevented board inspectors from conducting inspections of the establishments in Wheatland and Marysville, and that petitioner had operated Uppercut in Rockland without a license. An interim suspension order was issued on December 28th of 2020, which suspended petitioner's license. Administrative law judge found that petitioner had repeatedly violated state and county public safety orders designed to protect the public, that he had refused to allow board inspectors to inspect the Uppercut establishment and was operating, Uppercut Rockland without a license. Petitioner had not expressed any intention to comply with the state and county orders at that time and did not intend to comply with the board's laws and regulations. An accusation was filed January 11th of 2021. The accusation, similar to the interim suspension order, alleged that petitioner refused to follow orders put in place to ensure the health and safety of patrons when he continued to operate his business in 2020 during the COVID pandemic shutdowns. The accusation further alleged that petitioner refused to allow inspections at his establishment in Rockland and that the establishment was unlicensed but operating. On April 9th of 2021, petitioner's barbering license and establishment licenses were revoked pursuant to a default decision and order. Your Honor, I can go through the documentary exhibits which the petitioner should have. They were emailed to him last week.
Please, and let me confirm, Mr. Mitchell, did you receive the exhibits from Ms. Crawford by email last week?
I honestly, I don't think I did. Yeah, like I said, sir, I'm sorry. I just been so busy just trying to survive out here, and I'm not cutting hair, and so it's been tough with inflation and everything else. So I've been having a very tough time, but yeah.
Do you have access to your email at this time?
I don't. My phone actually broke and stuff like that, and I just wasn't able to. It took me a while to pay and to get another one. So it's been very tough for me to stay in contact with people through email and everything else. Like I said, I've been really struggling financially and things like that, trying to just survive. So I apologize.
It's okay. So what I'll do is, as Ms. Crawford introduces the documents, I'll do my best to kind of describe it for you so you have a general idea of what it is.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Ms. Crawford, go ahead and begin.
The first exhibit is the petition for reinstatement case summary that was prepared by the board, providing a case summary of this case, most of which I have already mentioned in the opening statement. It does also indicate that there is a total fine still outstanding of $1,500. I'd like to mark and introduce that at this time.
All right, so that document will be marked as Exhibit 1 for identification. And again, Mr. Mitchell, as Ms. Crawford described, it's a document prepared by board staff
Yeah.
that provides a summary of your license history
Mhm.
and the accusation and the outstanding costs. So do you have any objection to Exhibit 1 being admitted for all purposes?
So they're saying that I had an outstanding fine. I didn't know about that. I mean, Brent O'Jacks, the Attorney General, he said they were supposed to wipe any fines. So our agreement was any fines or any fees and things like that, they were gonna take care of that, and I wasn't gonna have to pay anything. So, but I'm not for sure exactly what she is talking about an outstanding for 1,500. Like I said, I'll have to go get into my email. I just got my phone and look at that. So I apologize.
Not a problem. So when you testify, that's certainly something you could talk about, what you just mentioned about your conversation with Mr. Jex.
Okay.
Okay. So
Thank
do you have any objection to Exhibit 1 being admitted for all purposes?
No, sir.
Okay, 1 is so admitted.
Exhibit 2 is the license certification indicating the license history for the petitioner. I'd like to mark and introduce that as Exhibit 2.
Right, that document's so marked. So Mr. Mitchell, again, this is official record from the board
Mm,
about your license history. It
okay.
has your name, of course, address, the type of license you have, the date of issuance and expiration, and its status. So do you have any objection to Exhibit 2 being admitted for all purposes?
No, sir, I can't really object because I don't have it in front of me to see, so, yeah, that's okay.
So 2 is admitted for all purposes?
Your Honor, did you refer to it as Exhibit C?
I don't think so. If I did, I meant Exhibit 2.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Exhibit 3 is the amended notice of hearing for today's hearing date that was provided to the petitioner along with the call-in information. We'd like to mark and introduce that at this time.
Right, the amended notice of hearing is so marked. So Mr. Mitchell, this is just a procedural document um, uh, providing notice of today's hearing. It indicates today's date, the time, and that it's appearing remotely, that you're appearing remotely, and it provides the call-in information for you to connect. Do you have any objection to 3 being admitted for jurisdictional purposes?
No, sir.
All right, 3 is so admitted.
Exhibit 4 is the petition for reinstatement of revoked license that was filed by the petitioner. It is a 3-page document. I'd like to mark and introduce that at this time.
Right, the petition is so marked. And again, Mr. Mitchell, the document is the petition that you signed and completed and submitted for this hearing. Do you have any objection to 4 being admitted for all purposes?
No, sir.
4 is so admitted.
Exhibit 5 contains the default decision and order in this matter along with the underlying accusation that we'd like to mark and introduce at this time.
Great, those documents will be marked collectively as Exhibit 5. Again, Mr. Mitchell, this is the original accusation that initiated the disciplinary proceedings against you, and then the subsequent default decision and order revoking your license. Do you have any objection to Exhibit 5 being admitted for all purposes?
No, sir.
5 is so admitted.
And Exhibit 6 is the decision on the petition for interim suspension order, as well as the underlying petition for interim suspension order that was filed. I'd like to mark and introduce that. It is as Exhibit 6.
Those documents will be marked collectively as 6. Mr. Mitchell, again, this is the original petition to suspend your license and then the subsequent decision suspending your license. Do you have any objection to 6 being admitted for all purposes?
No, sir.
Right, 6 is so admitted.
Your Honor, at this time, I don't have any additional evidence to present or witnesses. I would simply reserve on questioning the petitioner.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. Mitchell, now's your opportunity to testify. Again, I just want to remind you that what the board is most interested in hearing from you about is any rehabilitation you have undergone since your license was revoked, and then also the matters you started to talk about that I mentioned you could testify about when it came time to testify. You certainly are welcome to testify about those issues as well, okay?
Yes, sir.
So first, if I could have you raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you will provide in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you may put your hand down. If I could have you start by stating and spelling your full name for the record, please.
Randy Mitchell, Randy Mitchell, Mittchell.
Right, Mr. Mitchell, whenever you're ready, you may begin.
So this is just my testimony, sir? Is this what this is, or?
It is.
Oh, okay. I have this, I have so much to say, but now I kind of got stage fright. But these past 4 years, has been something that I know none of us have ever experienced, and you know, I apologize to the board and to the courts and to everybody. When this pandemic happened and this lockdown happened, I everybody, people were just going. I mean, I've worked my butt off my whole life. I'm a single father raising children, and to lose everything that I've worked for, and just seeing, big corporate open and the Walmarts and the Home Depots and the Starbucks and all these other big corporate stores open. And I'm seeing small business owners that I've known and friends of mine losing everything. Um, I've actually had a very close friend that's actually lost his life. Just he gave up. He lost everything he worked for. So we were just kind of in a fight and flight type of mode. And like I said, I don't come in no harm, and I don't mean no harm or no negative energy or hate towards anybody. But I felt that as a man, I had to continue to try to provide for my family and for my kids, like any man or woman would do. And I haven't asked for anything from anybody. I've worked my whole life, and I'm very active in my community. I have letters here. Um, you can reach out to school superintendents. You can reach out to my local sheriff, my chief of police, any of them, and they'll let you know my character as a man. I do a lot for the community, for the troubled youth, the kids. And one of the great things that I guess since going through this and not being able to cut hair, I got to focus more on the community center and working with the youth, the troubled kids, and things like that. So that's been a blessing in disguise. Now not being able to cut hair, I've gotten to focus more on working with the troubled youth, like I was myself as a kid coming up. Um, so that's kind of where I'm at. And, it's been really hard not being able to cut hair because I love to cut hair. I've been doing this majority of my life. And, I love the art of it. I love everything about barbering and cutting hair. And, for somebody to come along and tell me that I wasn't essential, it broke my heart, because law enforcement has grooming standards, our military has grooming standards, and so does our firefighters. And they were first responders, and a lot of them were, needing haircuts and things like that. So, like I say, I apologize to the board, and I apologize to everybody that I gave any problems to. But I would love to, I've been compliant. I've been doing what I'm doing what I'm told not to do, and I haven't been cutting hair, and I haven't been participating in that, even though it kills me every day. Um, and I asked the court and I asked the board to please, reinstate my license so I can get back to living life and doing what I love to do and taking care of my family. Right now it's been very, very hard times, in our state, in our country. And, I'm just asking for you guys to show a little mercy on me and, let me get back to doing what I love to do. But, I really don't know what else to say. I mean, I've had so much to say, but um, like I say, I apologize, and I hope we can work this out. Thank you.
Mr. Mitchell, if I may, one thing I wanted to remind you of is you questioned the outstanding fine. So if you want to provide some testimony about that, I just wanted to remind you, you did have a question about that.
Oh, yes, sir. So Bruno Jacks, the Deputy Attorney General for the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology, we've came to an agreement, one of my last court dates there in Placer County, and he said that all the fines and fees would be taken care of by the state and by the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. They would waive everything, and we shook hands, and that was the deal. And like I told him, I apologized to him, and I just told him I just want to get this stuff over with. It's been going on long enough, and we want to get back to living. I want to get back to living, and yeah. So that was the agreement that me and him agreed upon. And I spoke to Andrew Steinheimer, actually the Attorney General as well. And yeah, those were our agreements, that they would wipe away any fees and fines or whatever I had. They would take care of that if I would just, staying compliant with them. So I shook his hand and we agreed upon that. And I got paperwork and I read over it, and I didn't see anything in there about $1,500. I'll have to go back over that, but yeah. So I apologize if I missed something there that I didn't see.
All right, thank you. Ms. Crawford, cross-examination?
Good morning, Mr. Mitchell. Can you tell us why you didn't respond to the original accusation that was filed in this case?
You mean back a couple years back? Is that what you?
Yes.
Yes. Um, like I said, ma'am, what was going on in our world, in our country, it took us all by surprise and took us all by shock. And being a small business owner and coming, and being raised, the way that I was raised up, with no parents and on the streets and things like that. And I was fighting for survival for my kids. I'm a single father and I raised my children, and I wasn't paying any mind whatsoever to any mail, to anything. I was just trying to keep the lights in my home on. I was trying to keep the food on my table on, keep the food on my table. I I don't ask the government for any welfare or handouts or anything like that. I just want to work. And that's what I've been doing my whole adult life, is working and providing for my family. So I apologize. I just was focused, and I was not I just wasn't looking or reading or anything. Like I said, our whole country was just flipped upside down, and I'm just trying to survive and take care of my family, and that's all I was trying to do. And I wasn't meaning, yeah, I wasn't reading no mailboxes and those things. None of that stuff was important to me. What was important to me was just continuously trying to feed my family and keep food on the table and keep my lights on. Because, like I said, I have a lot of people that I know that's lost literally everything they've owned. I actually have a friend that killed himself because, you know, of the situations that we've been dealing with and living in. So I apologize.
Your license was revoked in April of 2021. Can you tell us what type of work you've been doing since then?
Since 2021, I've been doing body and paint. I've been working on the cattle ranch with the cows and the goats and the pigs. Um, and unfortunately, I had a little money saved up. So that's actually been a blessing to have some money, had some money saved up or whatnot to live off of. And I got two of my older kids that reside with me that been helping me out a little bit with my younger kids and things like that. So yeah, that's what I've kind of been doing. Um, but at the beginning of when my license was revoked, um, they revoked it. To be honest with you, I mean, I was still here and there, um, just cutting hair and doing whatever I had to do to survive. I mean, I don't think a lot of people can don't really understand that, small business owners, this whole thing has ruined lives. It's ruined my life, to be honest with you. Yeah. So, um, I've just been doing whatever I can do to survive without asking for any help from any government officials. I don't want to be on welfare. I don't want to be on those things. My grandparents taught me to work. So I've been doing that, but I've been in compliant. I haven't been cutting hair. I haven't been doing the things that the board and the state is telling me not to do because I want to get back into compliant with you guys and get my license back. So right now I'm just doing odd jobs here and there. I've been working in the body shop when I can, when they're busy, but they're actually slow as well. So that's kind of what I've been doing. Wrestling cows, push them in and out of trailers.
What was the last thing you said? I didn't hear you.
Wrestling cows, cattle, pushing them in and out of trailers.
So since you have not been cutting hair, how are you maintaining your skills?
My skills. I mean,
Your barber skills?
well, I got many, many years. I don't think my skills, it's kind of like riding a bike. It- this is second nature to me. You know, cutting hair is something that is a God-given talent and is a gift that I believe that I will never lose. But I've been doing a lot of free haircuts at the I haven't been at the homeless shelters and the youth center, and we just had a backpack giveaway that we do every year and free haircuts for the kids, and it's all free, and so I don't get paid. There's no compensation, whatever. So it's just for like the kids that are unfortunate children that they can't afford haircuts. So that's kind of what I've been doing is uh, just I go down to the homeless shelter here by the bridge here in Marysville, and I cut homeless people for free. And it came out in the paper. I don't know, you guys are in Sacramento, but the Pill Democrat, we do it every year for the last 14 years. So it's free haircuts. So I was actually really excited this year because I haven't cut hair in so long. I probably cut about 40, 50 kids, but they're all free, so that's what I got to do. And it was awesome. I was actually not wanting the event to stop because it's been so long since I cut hair. I was loving it. I was having a great time and seeing these kids smile and get fresh haircuts before school and everything's for free and giving out backpacks. So that's how I get keeping my skills sharpened.
And tell us a little bit about some of the volunteer work that you're doing, how you decided to do some of this volunteer work while your license has been revoked.
Well, since my license has been revoked, I've always been an activist in my community. I growing up out here in the Yuba Sutter area, and unfortunately, I was born to a family that with drug addiction and things like that. So not knowing my real father and stepfather in and out of prison, and mom on drugs and in and out of prison, so I was pretty much raised in these streets out here and started going to juvenile hall as a kid. And I started cutting hair in there, cut hair in the apartment complex, things like that. And I found out that I loved to cut hair and I was good at it. And I got to cut all my friends because they didn't have the money to cut hair. And when I was blessed to have get my first shop that I opened in Marysville, um, I have started to give back to my community because, I'm blessed to, I could be dead or I could be doing life in prison, So because of my kids, having my children has blessed me and kept me on the right path. And I just decided that I want to give back to my community. So I've been doing things in my community from day one of owning my first barbershop and being off of work now and not being able to cut hair. I've got to be more in tuned with my community. And we've actually opened up a community center and I was doing playing softball with the juvenile hall kids, and I got to work with some of them and some of those kids in the juvenile system. They're wanting to become barbers and cut hair, so got them some clippers. I've been doing this for a long time, so I have a bunch of clippers. So I took some old clippers of mine, things like that, and donated them to kids, and I've been kind of teaching them, they're cutting for free and they're cutting their friends and learning their friends. I'll take them to the homeless shelter, things like that. And then we work with a lot of the homeless people, and these kids get to learn to cut for free and get to learn how to hone their skill. And they're doing a great deed for the community. So it's kind of the things I've been doing. Why being off? Like I say, that's one of the biggest blessings of all, is that I've got to be more in tuned um, with my community and with the people around my community. So, yeah.
Have you had any opportunities to um, review any of changing laws that might be applicable in the barbering field?
What do you mean, ma'am? I don't understand. I'm sorry.
That's
Like,
okay.
yeah.
Have you taken any coursework or read any journals, anything that is related to the barbering field, just to keep yourself updated on any changes that may have affected your field while your license has been revoked?
To be honest with you, ma'am, no. The type of person, I mean, like I say, I love cutting hair so much, and like, it's kind of depressing to, to to read up on that kind of stuff, and to like, I don't know. I just sometimes have to block that stuff out of my mind. I don't want to start reading the stuff and digging into all that kind of stuff with the laws and with changing things. There's a lot of things that need to be changed in my opinion, with the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology and the laws and with the barbering and things like that. But I have not read up on anything. I'm sorry.
And I provided a summary at the beginning of the hearing, but I'd like to hear in your words,
Mhm.
what's your understanding of why the board filed an accusation to revoke your license?
So you mean why they filed it to revoke my license? What do I think that why they did that? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, what is your understanding of why they did that?
Because I wasn't compliant. I didn't shut down my shop whenever we were deemed non-essential, and I disagreed with the order, I disagreed that, I am a barber and my family is essential. My kids' well-being and mental health and um, our home is essential. And I looked at it, I cut a lot of police officers and I cut a lot of um military. We live out here by a military base here by Bell Air Force Base. And they all have grooming standards. They've all, so I disagreed with who was essential and who was not essential. Um, so I feel that that's the reason that they suspended my license, revoked my license, was because I wasn't um complying with their order to shut down my small business, to shut down my home, to shut down my family. And that's why they revoked it.
And do you recall there was also an issue with one of your establishments not being licensed?
Yes, ma'am. So right before the pandemic hit, that was a new business that we opened up there, and I actually went down there to Sacramento to the office, and I got the paperwork, and I can't remember who I spoke to, an a lady. I can't remember my name off the top of my head, but I filled out everything. I filled out everything for the establishment license and everything else, and I wasn't for sure. Something came up, and I paid the fee. But I can't remember, something happened or whatever it was, but I didn't do something right, and I didn't get the establishment license, and I was supposed to fix something, and I can't remember. It's been so long. I'm sorry. It's been what, 4 years now. And this was before the pandemic, right before the pandemic. But then shortly after that, I don't know how long ago after that was. Um, I don't know if it was months after that, whatever. And that's when all this stuff started getting kind of crazy in the world and everything else. And like I say, you kind of just go in this fight or flight mode, and licenses or nothing. That stuff was the furthest thing from my mind. I mean, we didn't know what was going on in this world and in this country. And like I say, I have older kids and I have younger kids, and I just have to provide and I have to feed my kids. So I wasn't worried, to be honest with you. I wasn't worried about any licenses or none of that stuff. I was just worried about survival and taking care of my family. Now, that's the honest truth. So, like I said, I apologize.
And I hear you that you did not agree with some of these orders, and that might have been the reason that you took some of the actions that you did. But in hindsight, do you acknowledge that you violated board laws when you continued to operate a business that needed to be closed down?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, I know we have to have law and order, and I get it, and I understand that. And I know that, without law and order, we'd have complete chaos in this country, and it wouldn't be good, and there'd be a lot of, injured people and women and children and things like that. But from my standpoint, I just hope the board can put yourself in my shoes and understand, because I know this pandemic and this stuff that happened in this country, it took everybody by surprise. This has never happened in our lifetime. So, um, like I said, I just was in a fight or flight mode, and I just had to provide for my family. I couldn't go home and think, oh man, how am I going to feed my kids? How am I, especially being self-employed, um, you know, so. I don't know if the board or people can understand that, when you've worked your butt off for everything that you have, and to go home and say, well, I just hope the government or the people are going to take care of me. I've never asked anybody to take care of me. Like I said, I grew up with a family that depended, been in and out of the system, in and out of prison. Um, I don't think my mother's never had a job in her life, my biological mother. So, my grandparents raised me to work, and, that's what I do. I don't ask for any handouts from anybody. So I just working and just trying to take care of my family. Like I said, I disagreed with the order. I disagreed that, we are essential. We are all essential. Um, and it broke my heart. It broke my heart to see that, we had 20 girls over here at Starbucks in there to get a mochaccino out the window in record time, with a line a mile and a half long. And I went to Home Depot, and there was literally 500 people in Home Depot, and they're buying plants and things like that. And I'm like, man, this is crazy, like, how are these places open? How are people at Walmart buying big screen TVs? And they're telling me that my small business is not essential, And so I disagreed, and I, you know, continued to work to provide for my family. So, like I say, I'm sorry that I caused a lot of problems, but as a man, my job, my number one job is to provide for my loved ones and my family, and that's just what I had to do. And you know,
At the time, did you recognize that there would be consequences to the actions that you were taking in violation of the board laws?
no, ma'am, well, in this situation when this stuff happened, I wasn't thinking about anything else but survive. I wasn't thinking about anything else but take care of my family, keep my lights in my home on, keep food on the table, um, to take care of my family. That's all I was thinking. I wasn't thinking about consequences. I wasn't thinking about anything else but providing and taking care of my family. And that's the honest God's truth. Just take care of my family. That's all I thought about.
So what assurances can you give the board if you were to put yourself in the board's shoes? What assurances can you give the board that something like this, where you're violating board laws, would not happen again?
Well, I pray that we will never have another lockdown. I pray that we'll never ever have any of this stuff ever happen again. Um, but it's been a huge big lesson learned. I mean, I've you know not alone, too. I mean, not to get off the subject here about the board, but like, there was these other barbers that work at my shop. They had wives and kids and families and things like that as well. And I just had to stand up and just not provide just for my family, for everybody. I was just a leader, but um, you know, I, I don't know. That's a kind of a, I mean, I don't, I think that if I could sit down with the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology and we can agree that, you know, we are essential, we're all essential, you know, as Americans and as human beings. But if this stuff ever happened again, um, yeah, I don't want to go through this again. So I would take my butt home and I would sit there and I'd hope the board would stand up and fight for us. And they would tell, you know, stand up and fight and say that we are essential. And but yeah, I would go home because this has been a very long, drug out nightmare for the last almost going on 4 years. So I don't ever want to go through this again. So yes, I would take my butt home and I would sit there, but I'd probably be on the phone bothering you guys every day, leaving messages and hoping that the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology would fight for me and my family. That's what I would do.
Now, if your license were to be reinstated, would you ensure that if there is an inspector that comes to a place where you're employed, that you would be compliant with that inspector?
Yeah, you know, I've always been compliant with the inspectors. I can't remember his name, the old inspector. He retired. Was it Tom? Um, I can't remember his name offhand. It's been a while, but he's been an inspector out here since I've been barbering, and before I got my barber license, I was doing the apprentice program. So I had a very great relationship with him. And yeah, he was a really cool guy. So I've never had problems with the board inspectors that coming into the shop and things like that. I've always had a very, very good relationship with them throughout the years. It was just there towards the when this pandemic stuff was going on, you know, like I say, man, I was just in fight or flight mode and I was just trying to take care of my family. So it wasn't, I meant no disrespect or anything towards any board inspectors or towards anybody that worked for the state. It's just, I was just trying to feed my family. That's all I was trying to do, you know, and I was trying to keep my small business alive and everything that I worked for. And I didn't want to lose everything that I've worked for. So, you know, but besides that, prior to the COVID and the pandemic and the lockdown, I've never had a problem with the state board. I've got along with him very well. I'm trying to think of his name. I can't remember his name. Mark. It was Mark. That's his name. Yeah, really great guy. So me and Mark have had a great relationship for many, 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 many years.
And do you plan on seeking out an establishment license as well?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, I've eventually I would like to you know get all my shops and things or get a barber get it back into my name. I stepped away and I just gifted the shops to my I have older children that are in the business as well. And so I gifted to them and they you know they pretty much run them now because I can't do it. I can't be there. I can't cut hair. So there, all the shops are in compliant as far as I know. Like I say, I haven't really been around there and I haven't been um, cutting hair. So yeah, but I would love to get my license back and I would love to put the shops um, in my name and do all that good stuff again.
And if you do get your barber license back, where would you work? Would you go work at one of the shops that your children own?
Yes, ma'am. My kids grew up in the shops. They grew up sweeping hair as little kids. You know, that's how long I've been doing this stuff. And like I said, I have an older set of kids and a younger set of kids. And my older set of kids, they grew up um, in this environment, sweeping hair, and it's kind of second nature to them. Now they all do it. And now I have two grandsons that they're sweeping hair and they're living in the shop and doing these things as well. So it's kind of a family affair. And my youngest is 7 years old, and um, you know, it's just we're a family of barbers and cosmetologists and kind of do all that. But yes, most definitely, I'll be back into one of the shops.
And again, if your license is reinstated, do you intend to be in full compliance with all of the laws and regulations that the board has to ensure public safety when they're licensing a barber?
Yes, ma'am, 100%. That's why I've been compliant, and me and Breno Jackson and Andrew Steinheimer and us, I've talked to them on the phone quite a few times. And like I said, I don't mean no harm, and I don't mean to be, uncompliant or, be a pain in your guys' butt. Um, you know, I believe in law. I believe that we have to have balance. We have to have law and order. We have to have these things, safety for the public and things like that. So yeah, 100%. I would most definitely, abide by the rules and the laws and the regulations of the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology, 100%.
And why are you seeking your license back at this time?
Because this is all I know how to do. I mean, I'm a barber. It's in my blood. And that's what I love to do. I believe, was my calling in life, and this is what I do. I mean, um, they say when you wake up to go to work, people that they say love what you do, and it's not you never work. Well, it's not even like working to me. I get to come and be around people that I love and care for, fellow barbers, customers. I met a lot of great people. Um, People that I probably would never even been friends with or met, and we become some of the best friends I've ever met. Become out of the barbershop. I've met people that became family members in the barbershop. So our barbershops are like, they're community centers. I've raised a lot of kids in these shops throughout the years, and some of the kids actually started off sweeping hair, coming from broken homes like myself. And like I say, I've been very active in my community for many, many years, since I've been blessed with my first shop. And some of those kids have turned into barbers, and they went to barbering school and got their license. And now they are some of the barbers at some of these barber shops. And they started off sweeping hair because they had nowhere else to go because their mom was on drugs and dad was on drugs, and they didn't want to go home. So they came to the barber shop. And it's a place that we reside together, and it's like a big family. I don't know. I can't really explain it to you unless you want to come hang out with us. I mean, you would love it.
So somewhat in that vein, when uh, your shop is called or was called Uppercut Barber Shop, and um, when a search is done for Uppercut, it comes up as Uppercut Social Club. Are you affiliated with that at all, or can you help explain what it is?
I'm not affiliated with none of it right now because I haven't been cutting hair. So but like I said, we were just going through all the stuff that we've been going through and going through this pandemic and going through this lockdown. And yeah, I mean, I really don't know. I mean, the name was changed from barbershop to social club. Um, to be honest with you, just because I mean, it's like a social club. I mean, this is what people, we come here and we laugh and we joke and care about each other. But we were trying to I tried to turn it into at the time, a friend of mine, a customer of mine, tried to help turn it into a like a, what do you call it? 501(c)(3), like a members only. And we were trying to basically, because the community came together and people, I wasn't trying to lose my small business. I wasn't trying to lose my livelihood. So people were coming together in the community trying to help me save, our family. Like I said, our these shops are these we're family in these shops. Even with our customers are family. So people were trying to help me to, do whatever we could to keep the doors open and take the pain and suffering and all the stuff that we're going through with the state that was coming after us and trying to close our doors down. So we went they tried to help me turn it into a 501(c)(3) and make it members only. And, you know, wasn't open to the public. It was supposed to be just our members, our customers became members. And that's kind of where we were at. That's kind of what we were trying to do. And it was a community thing. It was a lot of people just trying to help out and trying to save, because the shop's not just it's a home to many, many people, I don't know if you guys have ever seen that movie, The Barbershop, but we could make a movie about this shop, these shops. I mean, this is what it is. These just ain't barbershops. This is a family gathering. It's your community center. It's your country club. It's our cornerstone to every community, and that's what we have here. And when they were trying to shut it down and saying we weren't essential, that didn't just affect me and my family. It affected many other families, customers, and people that enjoy it. We have people that just come here just to hang out just because they're going through depression or they're going through life changes or this and that, and they're lonely, and they come here and amongst our presence, if I could tell you how many lives that we've saved, that we've talked people into, not hurting themselves and talking to them about, not doing drugs and not doing this and doing that and helping these kids change their lives, not getting involved in gangs and not getting involved in, doing all this stuff in the streets. I mean, Uppercut has saved many, many lives. And we do it one haircut at a time. And people come here. We have guys that come here and just hang out. They don't even get haircuts. They just come to hang out because they have nobody else. So
So that, it sounds like that was a way for you to try and keep the business and the business alive
yeah,
and provide a place for your community,
yeah.
despite knowing that that not doing that would have resulted in you having to shut down your business. That was your attempt to keep it alive.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, so some of the customers, one customer came in, I'm just being honest with you guys, so, I don't got nothing to lie about or nothing to hide. When everything was shut down, the wineries and stuff, and then I guess our governor has a winery or something, I'm not for sure, but it was members only, so it's kind of like, I guess, basically a lot of these country clubs and a lot of these other things, wineries or whatever, if it was a members only private, not open to the public, then it could have stayed open. So that's basically what customers of mine were trying to help me do, was turn it into something that was private, not open to the public, and it was stayed open for our members. Like I say, that we're a family here. These barbershops we're one big family. So us closing our doors, I know a couple people that have probably killed themselves, to be honest with you, because they depend on us. They they go to the shops on a daily basis for therapy. I mean, I can't really explain to you, you know what I mean? Like how essential and how big real barbershops mean to um, communities that don't have much in them. And there's not much in our community here in the Yuba Sutter area. So this barbershop is a very, very big piece of this community. And we do a lot to help others. And, it people will just were fighting for us. I mean, people were fighting for us to stay open. Um, and yeah, I mean, that's basically what they were trying to do. They were trying to turn it into that, I guess, Summer, somebody or whatever has a winery that stayed open because it was members only. So they tried to went that route, and people were just trying to help us. That's what they were trying to do. People were loving us, and people were trying to help us, and they're trying to keep our doors open so we don't lose everything that we have. And it was helping us, and we're helping them, and yeah. So
And you were very vocal during that time with the board
yeah,
that you did not agree with some of the rules that they were they were asking you to comply with.
Yes.
You weren't allowing, I believe, at least 2 inspectors to inspect your facility. And you indicated that you did not want to have any kind of contract with the board. So
Yeah.
that's the last information that the board has from you.
Yeah.
So the concern is if they give you a license back,
Mhm.
how do they know that if you don't agree with some laws that they're trying to enforce, that you're not going to try to find a way around it with what you attempted to with the 501c3?
Well, like I said, I mean, if it, with the 501c3 and I did all that, if I believe that, this is the thing, I believe that the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology is very essential. And I believe because, to a lot of these kids that are coming into the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology and becoming barbershops, I don't want to be their daddy. I don't want to be the one telling them, hey man, you got to keep your stuff clean. You got to do this, you got to do that. So the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology is essential, and I do agree with a lot of things, you know what I mean? Because, the safety and keeping clean your tools clean, your clippers clean and doing things like that. And being a small business owner and having barbershops, you know, I get on my guys about keeping their stuff clean and I'm on their butts about it, because, if they give somebody bumps in the back of their neck or they do something like that, that reflects not just them, that reflects the whole shop. So, but at the same time, I don't like to be the daddy. I don't like the one that going around having to check on stuff. So I don't mind when people come in and when the board would come in and do their inspections because it's like, yeah, you guys are gonna get your butt fined. If you guys don't keep your stuff clean, you're gonna get fined. And so that kind of helps me. It's like helps me as a business owner, so I don't have to freaking check. I don't have to check their stuff. You guys come and check their stuff, and you guys write them fine. So I honestly, as a business owner, I appreciate you guys. I mean, but if I didn't want to, if I didn't want and didn't believe in the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology rules and regulations, I wouldn't be on this laptop right now and in this courtroom speaking to you folks, because I do believe in having, law, order, and balance. That's why I'm here. I could have been that hard headed and just continue to keep pushing and keep fighting and keep doing this and keep doing that. But, at the end of the day, um, I've had a great relationship with the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology up until this point in life when the world told me that I was not essential, my family was essential and go home. So that's where I had the disagreement, and like I said, a lot of people reacted in different ways. And I think everybody in this courtroom, I don't know how many people were there or how many people on the panel, but I can if you guys had different jobs or were in my shoes, I'm pretty sure if you guys are parents, if you guys are mothers or fathers, um, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys would have done the same thing that I did. You would have fought for your family's well-being and to keep the lights on our home and keep food on the table. So that's just what I did as a man. That was my reaction, was to keep my doors open and fend for my family and fend for my community, to be honest with you. Not just my family, but for the people that come to these barbershops that need us as much as we need them. So it is a decision I made as a man, and and like I say, I apologize. I know that it went against your guys' rules and regulations, but we've never had this problem before. We've never had a lockdown. We've never had a pandemic in our lifetime. So honestly, it was just my reaction. It was just what I reacted was fend for my family, fend for my community, you know. So that's what I did. But like I said, if I didn't agree with the Board of Barbering Cosmetology and I didn't agree with your guys' rules and regulations, I would not be on here today with you guys speaking to you. I would continue to keep doing what I'm doing and pushing back and you know, try to find ways to um, you know, go against what you guys want. But I'm here and I do believe in, balance. I do believe in you guys inspecting and making sure these kids are keeping their tools clean and keeping the shop clean and keeping things clean. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you. I
Mhm.
have no other questions.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Starting first with Madam President.
No questions from me. Thank you.
Hang on, let me get to one document. Sorry. Thank you. Madam Vice President, any questions?
Yes, hi, thank you. Hello, Randy. Tanya Fairley. I am an industry member, which means I am a salon owner and a stylist. So I
Yes,
was
ma'am.
at the same time as you going through the pandemic and understanding, and I do hear your frustration. But I also have some concerns being an industry member, understanding that, yes, the pandemic was something that we had never experienced before. And we do hope and pray that we don't have to um, go through this again. My question to you is more on, you stated that you would want to get in the future to get your establishment license. Um, do you understand that having an establishment license puts you in a leadership position?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if it puts you in the leadership position and you being the leader of your establishment, when I was looking through the documents here, it does state that, um, let's see, we are in, just for the board, if you want to follow along, attachment to page attachment to, actually, there's not a page, so it would be the document filed, uh, our document filed, it's where it's the people of California versus Randy Raid Mitchell. It goes through why it's our memorandum of points and authority. Sorry, everyone. On page 2. And basically, it appears that here what was stated was one of the instances, one of the biggest incidents that I am concerned with as an industry member also, is that defendant you were on TV, you gave an interview that was broadcast on local news station, and you told the police, and I will read exactly what it says, "Take me to jail because that's the only way you're going to stop me from operating.
Mhm.
Governor Newsom is a effing terrorist and I don't work for terrorists."
Mhm.
What have you done for yourself? As far as, have you taken any classes? Have you done anything for yourself to help you in anger management, any type of personal perseverance, any type of personal development, any type of leadership that you've done? Because at this time you were, again, the establishment owner, and this was a directive that your entire staff was able to see.
Yes. So, I'm not an angry person. I have not took any anger management. I did that stuff when I was a child, growing up in juvenile hall as a kid, coming from a broken home, not knowing my real father, and my stepfather and mother were in and out of prison and on drugs and involved in all that stuff in the streets. So I was angry when I was a kid, but I'm not angry. But I have a lot of family members that's fought and died. You know, my great grandfather fought World War II and died for our freedoms. I have cousins that's died in Iraqi war, in Afghanistan wars, fighting for our freedom. So when I was making that statement, I was standing in my leader position at the time. You know, it was nothing to do against the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. It wasn't that I was going against. I'm standing for my freedoms and my rights. You know what I'm saying? I had other barbers, you know, coming to me concerned, like, man, bro, what are we gonna do, man? I'm gonna lose my home. We're gonna lose my car. You know, what do we do? You know, we just had a newborn child. You know, we got 3 kids. You know, um, I try to apply for PPP, this loan or this loan. They denied me, bro. Like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna get money? How am I gonna make a living? Like, what am I gonna do? And I had so many people coming to me panicking, not knowing what they were gonna do to fend for their family and to put food on their table and to keep their lights on. They were gonna lose their homes, their mortgages, you know. These are people that, if you're in the industry, you know that, you know, people you know, they have homes and they have cars and they were losing, so they were panicking. And me as a leader, And coming from, having military people in my family and cutting military people and having them say, man, what is this, man? Who is these people to say that, what's essential, what's not essential? Our families are essential, our kids are essential. Starbucks is open, Dutch Bros is open, Walmart's open. I just went and bought a 75-inch screen television. Is that essential? So whenever I made that statement as a man, standing back and looking at the pictures like, why are people buying 75-inch screen TVs at Walmart right now? That's not essential. We could live without that. I went into Home Depot and there was literally 600 people in the Yuba City Home Depot. I've never seen that many people in one building in my life. So when I made that statement, I made it as a leader, you know. Like I said, I was just it was nothing and no disrespect against the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology and the rules and regulations, because if I didn't believe in the rules and regulations and being sanitized and our public safety, I would not be on this laptop in this courtroom today. But at the time we were going through this pandemic and they were telling us to shut our doors and to go home, as a leader, and as a father and as a grandfather and as a man, uh, I had to stand for what we believed in as Americans, as men and women. And when you have people coming to you crying, not knowing what to do, and how are we going to fend for our family and pay our bills? Are we going to be homeless? Are we going to be under the bridge? Are we going to be at the river bottoms? Because we have a big homeless community here. And like I said, we've never dealt with a pandemic like this. We never dealt with anything like this in this country. And, you know, I just stood up and that was my reaction. It wasn't out of anger. I'm not an angry man, and I'm a very peaceful man. But when I believe in something, um, I stand on that. And I believe in what the Board of Barbering calls me and the rules and regulations, because I don't want to babysit these kids that are coming into the industry and, you know, not knowing, just I don't want to babysit people, and I don't want to, have to tell kids to keep their stuff clean and this and that. And that's another thing. I mean, we could talk about it because it's kind of cool. That's actually really cool that you're on the board and you're in the industry as well. So that is awesome. I would love to be on that board with you guys. But I feel that our barbering colleges need a little bit more game stepping up too, because a lot of these kids coming out of these barber colleges are, um, I don't feel they're being trained correctly. But like I said, ma'am, I don't know if I went way far off subject, but like I say, I don't have anger problems. I'm a church going guy. I'm a God-fearing man. Um, and yeah, I don't have anger problems.
Okay, my next question is in the same document, with your TV appearance, it stated that you also actively encourage the barbers at your shop to be taken to jail rather than comply with the board inspectors. This led to a female board inspector being physically assaulted and removed from one of your shops and another inspector being verbally threatened.
So
Again, let me
I'm
finish,
sorry.
please.
Sorry.
Again, we're talking about leadership, right?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I say this to you because I am a salon owner, have been licensed cosmetologist for a very long time. And yes, I understand that we are placed into situations sometimes that are out of our control. My issue here, again, goes to the leadership. You're asking that at some point you would want your establishment license back. And reading this tells me that you just told me that you didn't feel like you needed anything, any work or anything because you are not angry. However, we've had a board inspector that was physically assaulted and another one that was verbally threatened under your
So
leadership.
so were they threatened? Were they threatened by me or were they assaulted by me? That's the question, because I never, to be honest with you, every time the board went to the shops, because all the shops got cameras. I was never there. I've never had an encounter with any of the Board of Barbering and Cosmetologies or any inspectors or anything like that. So every time they came to the shop, I was not there. And yeah, so in my paperwork, because I've been going to court over this stuff, I've never put my hands on any inspectors. I've never threatened any inspectors. I've never had any encounters with any inspectors at all whatsoever. And as my leadership, as a man, it's kind of like, you know, I tell everybody to be peaceful. I tell everybody to be kind and respectful. Stand on what you believe in as a man or a woman. But there's no reason to be disrespectful. There's no reason to assault anybody or touch anybody or threaten anybody. So, but it's like any job. You have leadership, but some of the employees and some of the people that are underneath you react in different ways. And I apologize for any way that anybody had reacted towards any inspectors. But that clearly was not me. I never put my hands on. No, I never had an encounter. I was never at any of the shops whenever they came. I was never at none of the shops.
Thank
I've
you.
never had any encounters.
Thank you. I
Thank
have
you.
no further questions.
Thank you, man.
All right, Ms. Ellis, any questions?
What assurances could you give the board that if we were to reinstate your license, you would become up to date with current safety standards for potential clients?
I would be more than happy like I say, the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology, I've had a great relationship with Mark for many, many years. And I believe, and that's why I'm here. I believe in a law and order and balance. Like I say, um, I enjoy when they come into the shops and they inspect the shops, because I don't got to keep telling some of these guys to keep their stuff clean or to do this or do that. So it helps me manage them. I've like I say, I've never had a problem with the board of the barbering and cosmetology in my whole career. Um, I've always had a great rapport with them and with Mark, and um, things were great. Like I say, all this chaos stuff happened is when this pandemic hit, and they say we weren't essential, and my family wasn't essential, my kids weren't essential, and things like that. So I just reacted as a man, fending for my family. And a lot of my other barbers, they acted the way they acted, and at men and women as well. Some of the women, and but no, I most definitely agree with the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology and the safety standards. And I welcomed them before the stuff happened. They were welcome in my shop anytime. So I've never kicked out a board inspector or never had any problems with the board inspector up until this stuff happened in our world, in our country, in our state. I've never had a problem with them. And I know Mark's retired now, but Mark was a great guy. I had a great relationship with him. Never had a problem with any of them. So, like I say, if you guys, reinstate my license and, let me get back to doing what I love to do, um, it would be just like it was before. There's no problems. I've never had a problem with you guys. Never, ever. My only problem was when they told me to go home and, twiddle my thumbs and try to figure out how I'm going to feed my family and how I'm going to keep my lights on. That was my only problem. That was my only issue. And said I wasn't essential. And like I said, I disagreed with that. But besides that, I've never had a problem with the Board of Barbering Cosmetology. And I don't think I'll ever have a problem with you guys. Like I say, I believe in you guys coming in and inspecting and making sure these guys are keeping their stuff clean and sanitized. Got no problems.
All right, Ms. Funk, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Isbell?
Yes, my name is Reese. I'm from San Francisco. Like your hat.
Oh, thank you.
I think I just want to state the word essential is defined in different ways with in context, and the use of the word essential, I think in particular related to barbering and cosmetology, barbering and cosmetology is a hands-on industry, and people are directly in contact with each other. Other areas, like perhaps a Walmart or something, there's not necessarily direct contact between persons. And so I think that may be some of the confusion about why things were essential and other things weren't.
Yeah.
At the time, there was a need for social distancing, and that's where the conflict with our industry came in with the need to step away from folks. It didn't mean that we were less important than other industries. It was specific because we were a not a touchless industry. I don't have any questions. I just wanted to add that. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. And thank you. My thing was just like, if you don't mind me just replying to that, and I know we interact with our customers, and barber booths are literally 5 feet. I mean, I don't know about all barbershops or salons, but stations in my shop, they're all 5 by 5. So we were about 5.5 feet from the next barber next to you. But my thing was like with like, Dutch Bros or Starbucks, when you have 20 girls in there that are elbow to elbow to make you that mochaccino, and they're touching that plastic cup and they're touching these cups and they're doing this thing and they're passing you something that 4 or 5 different girls have touched to get it out the window, I mean, to carry on that, if you're sick, if I'm touching something, then you touch something, whatever. So that I mean, but I totally understand what you're saying and agree. We are a touched, we do touch our customers, their hair and things like that. But I just, like I say, I just, my opinion that we're all essential. Our families are essential, and you know, it was just something that, like I say, I just, we've never been through this, and um, yeah,
I understand what you're saying. There's the word essential in our community context and the word essential in relation to the health codes.
yeah,
And so it does not mean that our industry is not an essential part of our communities or an essential part of our um, local businesses. It was more of a specific term in relation to health codes.
yeah,
But thank you very much. I understand what you're saying, and I
yeah,
appreciate you
sir.
being here.
And I thank you very much. Go Niners.
And Mr. Esbel, I apologize for the misidentification. Um, Dr. Jimenez, any questions?
Yeah, just one question, please. Was the social club formed as a way to avoid the jurisdiction of the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology, and or to avoid inspections?
Yes, ma'am, to be honest with you, yes, it was. At the time, like I said, we had people in the community that was just trying to fight, and we wanted to be compliant, we wanted to be compliant with the state, because we were seeing that like other like country clubs and things like that were basically deemed as, stayed open because they were members only. So, one of the customers was like, "Hey, well, we could just turn this into a 501c. It could be members only. So, the people that come in here can agree that, if they're coming into the shop, they're signing a waiver. They're basically agreeing to, take any risk or whatever. If they come in here, they're agreeing to become a member, and they're agreeing on paper that, they're willing to come in here and be a part of the social club, to be a part of this members only country club, kind of like what some of the other places that were left open got to stay open because they were 501Cs or threes, or they were members only. It wasn't open to the public, it was just for members only. So like I said, we were just going through a time in our world, and we were just trying to fend, but try to be compliant, you know what I mean? So it wasn't like we were going against, what I'm saying, we were just trying to find a way to be compliant so the state would leave us alone, and we can continue to, have our little our little country club here, for our community and for our families, and we can continue to keep providing for our families and whatnot. So that's what that was, to be honest with you. Yes, we went that route to try to, um, I guess you should say like be compliant without being compliant. I guess I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's something that we were just. This has been crazy. So we were just trying to do everything we could to keep the doors open for people, because like I said, as much as we needed the people in our community, there's a lot of people in our community that needed us just as much, especially in those dark times that we were going through. People were at home, people were alone, and a lot of people have mental health problems and face depression and anxiety and things like that, not being locked in a room by a house by themselves and not being able to come to the shop and socialize. And that's why we named a social club, because that's what we do here. We socialize and we laugh, we joke, we dance, we play music, you know what I mean? And we have a good time, and we counsel each other, like peer counseling, we do. I mean, not even us to the customers. I mean, customers have helped me with some of my tough times I went through in life, talking to some of my customers and asking them for advice, because we touch such a different wide range of people. And that's what I love about the industry, is that, I got so many friends and so many different, I got just it's just it's amazing, you know what I mean? And like I said, I love the shops, I love what I do. I love everything about this. But yes, to answer your question, we were trying to go around you guys. And, you know, I could have kept pushing. We could have kept trying to make that work. But like I say, I don't want to have to babysit these barbers. I want that to be your guys' job. So, that's the reason I'm here today, because at that time we were trying to go around you guys, and that's just the honest God's truth. I'm not lying to you. And we were trying to go around you, but I've never had a problem with the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. And I've never had a problem of being compliant and being, clean and sanitational and those type of things. So that's why I'm here, because I want you guys to do your job so I don't have to do it. I just want to focus on cutting hair and laughing and joking and having a good time and helping the people in my community. I don't have to worry about telling these guys and these girls to keep their tools clean, to keep their space clean, and to go home and wash their capes and make sure you use the Sanic strips and do this. I want that to be your guys' jobs. So that's why I'm here. But yes, I apologize for trying to go around you guys.
Thank you so much for your honesty. I don't have any other questions.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Kavanaugh, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Ms. Miller?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Munoz?
Hi, Randy Mitchell, thank you so much for sharing all of your thoughts. And I can definitely understand that your family is always important. Family always comes first. I hear that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I wouldn't doubt that. I think all of us in the room agree with that. I have a couple of questions related to your license and your responsibilities as a licensed barber. So I love the passion. One of the things I love on this board is to hear the passion from the artists in this industry. The passion is something that's a process between you and yourself.
Yeah.
The safety piece is your commitment to making sure your passion does not come at a cost to someone else's
Yes.
suffering.
Mhm.
So your passion is between you and yourself,
Yes.
and your safety and your protocols are between you and the client. So I'm
Yes.
going to just focus on that right now.
Okay.
I'm looking at section 6, page 8 of here we go, the default decision and order. And I'm going to just focus here on the section 42. On or about May 1st, during a time that respondents were required to stop all operations, Respondent Mitchell gave a video interview to the reporter for the CBS affiliate in Sacramento that was broadcast on television. And you've kind of heard this one already, but
Yes.
I'm not, yeah, take me to jail. That's the only way you're going to operate. And then if you follow after that statement, it says the footage from inside the barbershop shows 4 barbers, including Respondent Mitchell, providing haircuts to 4 men. No one is wearing facial coverings or maintaining distance. And then you go down to section 47, and it says, upon stepping inside the barbershop, because it says on or about October 19th, 2020, the board inspector again attempted to inspect the premises. And once again, when they stepped in, the inspector observed 6 barbers providing services to 6 clients. There were also 3 or 4 people in the shop. No one was wearing face coverings or practicing social distancing. There was no COVID-related signage, disinfecting stations, or barriers between stations. After stepping into the shop, Respondent Mitchell immediately confronted the inspector and demanded he leave the shop. So I'm hearing that piece there, and it's making me wonder if the passion to support your family fully surpassed the commitment to public safety. And again, this audience here, our North Star is public safety. We're not a talent agency, right? So we acknowledge your talent, but we also have to look at the safety piece. And Starbucks and Walmart are not licensed by the Board of Barbering Cosmo. You are.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is the next time something happens and adversity happens, you're going to immediately default to yourself, your passion, and your family, and you will abandon your commitment to public safety. That's what I'm hearing. So I kind of want to hear your thoughts on that, and if this situation has provided you some time and opportunity to create a contingency plan so that the next time around, if and when something like this happens, you kind of stay with that public safety piece.
Yeah. Well, ma'am, it's not that it's not, if this happened again, I don't think that, we would be deemed not essential, whatnot. But with the mask, to go back to the mask, situation and whatnot. It's kind of like my body, my choice, whatnot. But at the time, our community, I mean, I don't honestly think no one even caught COVID coming out of the barber shops. Um, but some of the customers would wear masks, some of the barbers would wear masks, things like that. But it was like, I'm just kind of a firm believer, just kind of like with, my body, my choice type thing. And if some people wanted to wear them, some people didn't want to wear them. I gave people, it's, to make a decision for themselves. Though I try to wear the mask, and I ain't gonna lie, I almost blacked out. Like I could not breathe in the things. I try to wear them. I wore a few of them at that time. I had a couple elderly customers that were just awesome people, and they came in and they had respiratory problems and whatnot. And they had a mask on, whatever. And they asked me if I would wear them. So I had masks, so I would put mask on if customers or whatnot felt a certain way or whatnot. But did we wear the mask all the time? No, I didn't. I couldn't breathe in the things. And some of the barbers, but at the time, like COVID, I mean, I don't even think, honestly, to be honest with you, any uh, cases that were reported to coming out of the barber shops or whatnot. But if this happened again, no, I wouldn't be discompliant. I think this has been a big learning lesson for all of us in the state of California and in our country. And I think things would be completely different. I think things would be way, way different. Um, but the stuff like on the TV with the news or whatnot, like I said, I was just, you know, acting out of just fitting for my family. And like I say, I'm not I'm a law-abiding citizen. You know what I mean? I got in trouble when I was younger, when I was a kid, growing up in my situations and whatnot, but I haven't been in trouble since I've been a kid, since I've had my first child, and she's 26 years old. Um, so I wouldn't be, you know, uncompliant, and I wouldn't, I think things would be a lot different. I think things would be completely different. I think that we would have more communication amongst each other. I think if this was to happen again, I think the barbering and the barbering and cosmetology community, I think the state, I think everybody would react differently. This kind of just caught us off guard, and like I said, my reactions at the time were fight or flight, and to take care of my family. So, if this ever happens again, and I pray it never does, but if it does, I mean, we have a feel for it, and I don't want to go through this madness again. I've been in and out of courtrooms, and they did, just to put it on record. Whenever I said, take me to jail or I'm going to kill me, they took me to jail. So I did go to jail. Um, but like I said, it's I wasn't doing this stuff to be rebellious. I wasn't doing this stuff to be just some guy that just, out of hatred or whatnot. My whole reaction was, to take care of my family and take care of my community and take care of the people in it, and I'm a firm believer, like they say, your body, your choice, I didn't put a gun to anybody's head. I didn't tell nobody to come here and do business with me. These people made a decision as themselves, as Americans, to walk into this barber shop.
And Mr.
So
Mitchell, that's where I have the issue is that licensed folks, and I myself am
yeah,
in a part of a licensed body, a different one, but,
yeah,
you know, we are essential. We were essential in keeping the health and safety plan going.
yeah,
We depended on you to be part of an essential plan to keep people safe. So
yes,
you keep going back to essential in a personal stance where I'm trying to hopefully hear you say, oh, I was an essential part of the plan, but of the safety plan. And to see yourself as an establishment owner, as an essential part of a safety plan versus a personal essentialness. Does that make sense? Because we're really just talking about your license, not your passion. You were essential and we depended on you.
yeah.
But I
I mean,
want to hear in the future, do you feel like you have that leadership to
yeah,
say, hey, we're an essential part of this safety plan. We have to follow these rules and we will figure this out. And
yeah.
that will keep you in, like I kind of want to hear
Yeah, and
that.
and so I totally understand. Now, this I didn't understand then. That this whole experience has been it's been life changing, very life changing. But I didn't understand none of that then. You know what I mean? Like I said, because I've never had to experience this before. So this experiences have that I've been through for these last 4 years has um completely just it's changed a lot. It's so, but yeah, I know how to handle the situation now, to better, what I'm saying, to better, you know, be more compliant and to understand, but the thing with me is like, a lot of these shops, and I know if you're from the industry as well, a lot of these other barber shops and a lot of these other barbers and beauticians, they were all still doing this stuff. They were just doing it behind closed doors. They were sneaking around hiding, doing it. They're doing it out of their homes, they're doing it out of their garages. They were doing this stuff. I'm just that guy. Like I'm here with you guys, and I'm being honest with you today. So when I didn't close my doors, I was being honest with you guys. I'm not going to sneak around and hide. I'm not going to, because if people there are on that board and you guys are in this industry, that, and you have friends in this industry, 90% of these people were still sneaking around and still cutting hair and still doing hair in their shops with their doors locked, people coming through the back. So, like I say, ma'am, I'm just very honest, and I'm very honest. I'm being honest with you guys here today. I was being honest when this pandemic happened. I didn't close my doors. I didn't hide. When the news people came, I gave, I'm an honest person, you know what I mean? And I don't come in no harm and I don't mean no violence and I'm not an angry man, but I'm not a coward, and I'm not gonna hide and lie to you people. I'm gonna be honest with you. So everything that I've done, I didn't have experience in this. You know what I mean? None of us did, and I didn't understand what to do. I just, like I said, back to just taking care of our family. But I have a better understanding now of this whole experience and how to handle the situation if this occurs again. And I pray it doesn't. But if it does, I have a better understanding of how to handle the situation now. But to be honest with you, I didn't have that. I never had this experience before. So I apologize to the board. I apologize to everybody. I was just being honest and I was just standing for what I believe in. So like I say, I'm sorry, but like I say, it's been a very big learning experience for me.
Great. Thank you
Most
so
definitely.
much. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Thank you. And sorry if I didn't answer that right or.
All right, those are all the board members, but I'll double check to see if any members have thought of any subsequent questions since their name was called. Any further questions from the ward? Right, hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell, for your testimony. You are excused as a witness. Ms. Crawford, do you wish to make a closing argument? Mr. Mitchell, do you wish to make a closing argument?
Well, I have no more arguments. I just want to apologize to everybody. If anybody in that courtroom today, if, my situation and what I've done and what I've, you know, I never meant to be discompliant. I never meant to be someone to go against law and order and the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. I just like I say, this has been one heck of an experience for myself, and I'm pretty sure for many others. But I have been honest with you guys, with the board, with the state. I've never hid. I never snuck around and cut hair in my home and did all this stuff or in my shop and locked the doors and had people come in through the back like most shops did. I've been very upfront and very honest about my belief and what I stood for, and I just hope you guys take that in consideration because I don't lie. um, and I just want to start over and establish a new relationship with the board, and get this ball rolling. And I would actually like to be a part of that panel one day and be a part of the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. And I have many, many years of experience, and um, I think we can help make this just a lot better in many other ways. But like once again, I'm sorry for any disturbance or anything that I've caused. And I hope you guys all have a great, blessed day. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mitchell. So that concludes the hearing. The record's closed, the matter's submitted, and we are off the record.
Okay.
So, Mr. Mitchell, just to remind you that the board will meet in closed session later today to discuss your matter. So you won't issue, you will not receive a decision today, but will receive one in the mail later on. Also, if you were here in person, you would receive a form from the court reporter. But since you're not here in person, my office will send it to you by email either later today or tomorrow. And that form's just for your records. And in case you want to order a copy of the transcript, the form will have the information you need to go about ordering a copy. Do you have any questions at this point about the procedure or what happens next?
No, sir. I just hope and I pray that the board gives me another shot and let me get back to doing what I love to do, and sooner the better. And I thank you guys very much for taking your time out of your day today to hear my side of the story and what I've went through and things that I've done. And I just hope you guys, I do really, really from honestly, I do apologize for everything. And yeah, I just hope you guys show some mercy on me, please.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. So the hearing's concluded and you're welcome to disconnect, or you're also welcome to stay and observe if you like.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. All right, so we'll proceed with the next matter, which is Carlos Curiel.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, there we go.
And you're able to hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, and did you want to have your camera on?
Yeah, it's fine. I have it set. It's all good to go.
Oh, there we go. All right, so we could see you?
Yep.
All right, so before we get started, I just want, were you here in the meeting when I went over the procedural process with Mr. Mitchell's case?
Yes, Your Honor. I got to hear everything, so I got a pretty good rundown of what to expect.
All right, perfect. All right, let's go ahead and go on the record. Sure, go ahead.
Carlos, if you have a control or something that you can control your lights and your room to keep it in white, if it's possible.
Yeah, the lights in the back.
Yeah, instead of getting different colors.
Okay, sure, no problem.
If it's possible, thank you.
Give me just a second here. There you go. Is that better?
Yes, all right, thank you. So we are on the record before the State Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. Department of Consumer Affairs, State of California, in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of Carlos Reyes Curiel. It's OAH number 2024070163. My name's Corin Wong. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings, and I've been assigned to preside over this matter. To establish quorum for the record, I ask that each board member please respond audibly after I call his or her name. Madam President,
Present.
Madam Vice President,
Present.
Ms. Ellis,
Present.
Present.
Mr. Isbell,
Reese, here.
Always one.
Dr. Jimenez,
Here.
and Ms. Kavanaugh,
Present.
Ms. Miller,
Present.
Ms. Munoz.
Present.
Let the record reflect that a quorum is present. Mr. Curiel, as you heard me explain to Mr. Mitchell, in a moment, Ms. Crawford will provide the petition and supporting documents and also a summary of the prior history and discipline of your case. And then next, the matter will turn over to you to present your evidence. Did you have any witnesses you wanted to call other than yourself?
I do not.
Okay, and were there any additional documents?
Other than what I submitted, no.
Okay, very good. All right, do you have any questions about the procedure thus far?
No, but there's something I wanted to clarify. I've been seeing an error repeated over and over, specifically my name. It's Carlos Guriel. For some reason, the middle name Reyes was added somewhere along this whole ordeal. I don't know who Carlos Reyes Guriel is, but I have spoken with someone within the board trying to clear that up. But as far as I know, the license number that you referenced, where everyone has a reference of, is correct. I just wanted to put that out there on record that my name is Carlos Guriel and not Carlos Reyes Guriel. Whoever he is, he was probably getting letters too, but no, that ain't me. So just wanted to be very clear.
All right.
There's an error made.
All right, thank you. And how do you spell your last name?
Curiel.
Okay, and how do you pronounce that?
Curiel.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Crawford, your opening statement or your summary statement or documents, whichever you like to proceed with first.
Thank you, Your Honor. I am appearing on behalf of the Attorney General pursuant to Government Code Section 11522, here to assist the panel in fact-finding. My role is not adversarial, but intended to protect the public interest and ensure the panel has adequate information from which to make a decision. As a background in this matter, the board issued a barber license to the petitioner on October 7th of 2013. On November 24th, 2020, in a petition for interim suspension order, which was also filed against Randy Mitchell, the petition alleged similarly that the petitioner, Mr. Curiel, despite several board-issued warnings, refused to comply with state and county public health orders issued in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, prevented board inspectors from conducting inspections of the establishments, and had operated Uppercut in Rockland without a license. The petitioner was a partial owner in Uppercut Rockland with Randy Mitchell, the previous petitioner. After a hearing, an interim suspension order did issue on December 28th, 2020, suspending the petitioner's license. The administrative law judge found that petitioner had repeatedly violated state and county public safety orders designed to protect the public. Petitioner had refused to allow board inspectors to inspect the Uppercut establishment and was also operating Uppercut in Rockland without a license. The petitioner had expressed no intention to comply with state and county orders and that he would not comply with such laws and regulations. An accusation was filed on January 11th of 2021. The accusation, similar to the interim suspension order, alleged that petitioner refused to follow orders put in place to ensure the health and safety of patrons when he continued to operate his business during the 2020 COVID pandemic shutdowns. The accusation further alleged that petitioner refused to allow inspection at his establishment in Rockland, stating to the inspector, "Our other shop was just inspected and that inspector was escorted out, and I'm being very nice right now." So at which point the inspector left. The establishment was unlicensed but operating. On April 9th, 2021, petitioner's barbering license was revoked pursuant to a default decision and order. Your Honor, we have 7 exhibits to introduce. The first would be the petition for reinstatement case summary prepared by the board. That this document, or rather this packet, has also been sent to Mr. Curiel. Would like to mark and introduce that first exhibit at this time.
Sorry, Mr. Creo, have you received the proposed exhibits from Ms. Crawford?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right, Ms. Crawford, if you'd like to continue.
So that would be the first exhibit, Your Honor, that we're seeking to introduce the petition for reinstatement case summary.
All right, very good. The document's marked as Exhibit 1. Mr. Creo, any objection to 1 for all purposes?
No.
Okay, 1 is so admitted.
Exhibit 2 is the license certification for the petitioner indicating it was issued in October 7th of 2013 and its current status is revoked. We'd like to mark and introduce this as Exhibit 2.
The license certification is so marked. Mr. Creo, any objection to 2 for all purposes?
No.
2 is so admitted.
Exhibit 3 is the amended notice of hearing for today's hearing date, which includes the link for today's date. We'd like to mark and introduce this as Exhibit 3.
The amended notice of hearing is so marked. Mr. Creo, any objection to 3 for jurisdictional purposes only?
No.
3 is so admitted.
Exhibit 4 is the petition for reinstatement of revoked license filed by the petitioner. This is a 3-page document. We'd like to mark and introduce that at this time.
Great, the petition is so marked. Mr. Creo, any objection to 4 for all purposes?
No.
4 is so admitted.
Exhibit 5 contains a narrative statement pertaining to the petition by the petitioner along with supporting documentation. We'd like to mark and introduce that as Exhibit 5.
The document is so marked. Mr. Creo, any objection to 5 for all purposes?
No.
5 is so admitted.
Exhibit 6 is a default decision and order in this matter along with the underlying accusation. We'd like to mark and introduce this as Exhibit 6.
Those documents will be marked collectively as 6. Mr. Creo, any objection to 6 for all purposes?
No.
So 6 is so admitted.
And Exhibit 7 is the decision on petition for interim suspension order, as well as the petition for interim suspension order that was filed. I'd like to mark and introduce this as Exhibit 7.
Those documents are marked collectively as 7. Mr. Creo, any objection to 7 for all purposes?
No.
7 is so admitted.
Your Honor, I don't have any other exhibits or witnesses to present. I would reserve on cross-examining the petitioner.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. Creo, now's your opportunity to present your testimony in support of your petition. First, if I could have you raise your right hand, please.
Sure.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you will provide in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you may put your hand down. If I could have you start by stating and spelling your full name for the record, please.
Yeah, so it's Carlos Curiel. It's spelled Carloscuriel.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. Curiel, as you heard me previously explain, what the board is most interested in hearing about today is any rehabilitation you may have undergone since your license was revoked. You heard Ms. Crawford provide a summary of your license history and the subsequent discipline. So it's just to remind you, the prior discipline has been established, and so the propriety or impropriety of the prior discipline is not an issue today. But if you feel it's necessary to provide limited discussion about it to provide context for your rehabilitation, you're welcome to do so. But just want to remind you that the board is most interested in hearing about your rehabilitation. Also, the board has received the benefit of receiving and reviewing your petition and supporting documents. So it's not necessary to repeat what's in the documents, but if there are things you would like to highlight that you believe are significant, you're welcome to do so. And then as well as any other supporting testimony you would like to provide. So with that in mind, whenever you're ready.
Sure. So just to start off on the topic of rehabilitation, I think a lot of my rehabilitation came from just losing my license overall, taking me out of barbering, what I love most. It's saved my life. It's something that I give a lot of credit to. You know, as someone who had a difficult time trying to find a calling in life, when I became a barber, I had a lot of hope that I was on the right track, and, you know, being in a position to, you know, give sound advice to, you know, people in my community, um, you know, it puts pressure on me to practice what I preach. And the more I practiced, the better my life got. And, you know, stepping away from a lot of that, like I mentioned, is part of my rehabilitation because I lost something that was so valuable to me. Um, you know, it's more than just a piece of paper. It's, you know, honestly, it's your guys' permission to allow me to do something that I guess took for granted for so long. But at the same time, that piece of paper doesn't represent. Um, it's just doesn't compare to how meaningful barbering is to me. But I understand, you know, one really can't coexist without the other. So, you know, I'm here today to kind of, you know, touch on that. You know, everything that's happened, you know, since the pandemic and, you know, losing my license. It's been, you know, just a lot of uncertainty in my future, in my life. Was recently married at the time when all this was happening prior to the pandemic, and just really excited about my future. And then the pandemic happened, and, you know, just we weren't promised anything. You know, every day was a new challenge, and it was scary. And I think a lot of what took place during that time was based off of fear. And, you know, it's a very strong emotion. I think it's something that we could all agree on, that when you're put in a position where fear is your driving force, it's really hard to focus on what's going on around you. And, you know, being in that situation, I look back and think about, you know, everything that happened to where I'm at today. And, you know, it's just really hard to say, like, you know, I'm upset. I'm really upset. You know, the fact that I lost my license, you know, it's caused a lot of just anxiety, depression. These are things I never, I know they exist, but I never personally felt in my life. And it wasn't until I lost my livelihood, I lost something that I love so dearly. It was almost as bad. I've lost family members, friends, and it's just, you know, life goes on. But this is something in the pit of my stomach that just doesn't feel right. And, you know, I've been dealing with counseling, therapy, and doctors, and, you know, talking to people about what it's going to take for me, not only just to get my license back, or to get my mental health back to where it once was, my physical health, you know, because that's all connected to mental health. And I've been on a steady decline, and I'm the one that actually petitioned to have this over, you know, tele whatever conference. And because I wasn't sure if I was going to have the strength to actually go there physically, I'm thankful to God that I am doing better. I'm here and I'm speaking before everybody. And I hope everyone had a chance to read through my packet. You know, my clients, I think they speak volumes for me. I really don't have to say much about my character. I think um, I know my role in my community. I know my role as a father, as a husband, and you know, I'm here today to just make amends with state board, do whatever it takes to get my license back because I understand that, you know, the health and safety of the public is always going to be the board's #1 priority. And, you know, taking it back to all those years of being a license holder, that wasn't something that was ever really put in my face, even though I know it's on the website, it's on your guys's any official document, but you know, when it comes to just basic inspections and then what happened during the pandemic, you know, it's apparent to me how important it is because well, obviously there's repercussions to it. I lost my license and everything else in my life spiraled out of control. And now I'm not doing what I love to do and I'm trying to figure it out because I have a little boy and a family to support, my wife, and you know, I'm just a shell of myself, and I didn't realize how important barbering was to me. And you know, I not only want my barber license back, but I want my life back. I want my happiness back. I want my sanity, my sleep. And you know, it's tough. And I'm here today to start over. Whatever, I mean, you guys want to ask some questions? Let's hear it. And that's all I have to say about that.
All right, thank you. Ms. Crawford, cross-examination.
Thank you. What initially drew you to the field of barbering?
You know what? You know, it started as something as simple as just having my brother ask for a haircut one day, and then another family member, a cousin, and it all started in my garage. And, you know, it was nothing I ever really imagined myself doing. And obviously, I wasn't cutting my own hair. I would try, but it would, you know, I preferred sitting in a chair in a professional setting. So I had chances to speak to a barber of mine who, being a client in a barber chair, you really open up to your barber. And, you know, I was going through a lot of stuff. I was part of, you know, troubled youth programs and was sponsored by, you know, some very monumental people in my life that would try to steer me in the right direction. But I think it's interesting how, you know, having a Harvard grad MBA wasn't able to inspire me as much as my barber was, who um, would see my experiences in life and tell me, hey, you ever think about becoming a barber? And I think he planted that seed in my head, but I never took it serious because barbering wasn't such an attractive career at that point. I remember a lot of people associated it with, you know, people who just couldn't find work or they were, you know, former felons, and it wasn't like the go-to thing. But to me, it was, you know, never really about the money. It was more about the, you know, it's just the art of it. You know, I have a background in art and design and these other things, and I found that cutting hair was like the best medium for me. And it came with a lot of other things, you know, the talk, the peer counseling, the chance to just kind of vent, you know, is cheaper than therapy. And I realized how much my role meant to my family members as I started, you know, having more friends and people stop by my house to get haircuts. I decided to take it serious one day after I was in an accident. And I went to my barber and he saw me bruised up and scarred. And he said, man, you got to get your life together. And I told him, you know what? I'm going to go become a barber. I'm going to go get my barber license. So I took that as I needed structure in my life because I was jumping job from job, picking peaches in the fields, walnuts, and all these things, and these oddball jobs throughout the summer, trying to work on cars. And, you know, nothing felt like it was going to bring me happiness in life. But I knew barbering was a different route that I can at least try. So, you know, I signed up for barber school. I was in this program, and you know, I was really excited about everything. It seemed legit. You know, it didn't take very long before I found out that the school that I went to um, just was part of a lot of shady business, and the school shut down. And, you know, I didn't get my money back. And I was in a strange situation where now, you know, I was out thousands of dollars, but the school was shutting down. And, you know, I didn't have many options but to transfer out to a different school. And it was just so stressful because they just require more money, and transportation was an issue. So now I'm traveling farther, and I was just having all these challenges that seemed like life didn't want me to become a barber, but just for some reason I decided to keep pursuing it given all those bad experiences, and it only got worse. You know, I graduated, I did my hours, I did what I had to do, and then I went and took my state board exam. And I was really excited because, you know, I really took the time to study and make sure that I was going to nail it, ace everything. I was the first one in that whole class to finish, and I was really proud of myself. You know, that was the first thing. I don't have any, you know, post high school education. To me, it was nice to know that I'm, you know, passing another curriculum, getting somewhere in life. And I remember I was last to be called at the examination office, and they told me I failed. I was the only person that failed that day, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And I remember walking up to the person there and was telling me how I was doing things that were taught from a 7-year old curriculum, 7-year old curriculum. The school that I went to not only took my money, my time, um, everything. I dedicated so much to be scammed. I was basically scammed, and I I could have gave up again. You know, I all my stuff was soiled up in bags. My clippers got rusty because I was so upset that I failed. I just wanted to give up almost, but you know, I stepped away from it for a bit, and someone reached out to me from the board. I remember I got an email and someone sent me a link, and it was basically just the up-to-date standards of with the board, with the hands-on and the practical. And it was just a YouTube video. And I don't know if it was, it might have been a board meeting, it might have been something. I think there was revisions to the standards. And I sat there for months watching that video, just writing notes down until I created my own little curriculum, my own little study guide, and I gave it a shot again because, you know, I looked around me, all these other opportunities I had. By that time, I saw a lot of my friends ending up in jail, you know, doing these things, and some were losing their life on over drugs, and I was just scared. So my thing was, okay, well, I need something to focus on. So I went for it again. You know, I was completely 100% self-taught. I went back to the board, took my test, and this time I passed it with flying colors. And you know, it was legit. I was excited. I started my career, got my license before I actually started barbering in the shop. Didn't have very many clientele yet. It's just like I said, friends and family. So I wasn't really profiting or anything. I was just still trying to find, I guess, a home, right? A place to call home. And that's how my barbering career started.
And how did you end up being in a partnership in the Rockland uppercuts with Mr. Mitchell?
So, just kind of leading off of what I said last. So I was, you know, trying to find a place to cut hair. You know, the industry at the time was very cutthroat. It was hard to find people that were willing to work with you. It seemed like a lot of people wanted to just to, um, I don't know. It just, I went to a couple different barbershops, and nothing felt right, you know, and I wasn't comfortable being under someone's leadership that felt like I was a burden to them, or I felt like I brought no value to the shop itself. And again, I floated around until actually visited the Uppercut Barbershop in Marysville, and I met Mr. Mitchell. And you know, I was very excited when I met him because like right off the bat, like he checked off all the marks of everything I looked for as a business owner, someone that I wanted to work with or work under or represent, because to me, one of the most important things was just honesty. And right off the bat, he was really honest. He was honest about his expectations. He was honest about his standards, and I went for it, and I never looked back. And I spent many years working alongside the crew in Marysville, Mr. Mitchell, and I found a home. I found a home. Um, again, um, I never had any issues with with the establishment. That state board would come in regularly, and we established a really good rapport with inspectors. And I knew I found a home. I didn't have to worry about other barbers doing shady things. I didn't have to worry about the business being jeopardized for bad business. I found a home, and my colleagues, anyone that worked under the barbershop under Mitchell's watch, knew what it meant to work there, and it was being a professional. That was number one. We did a good job of catering towards um, all different groups of people. The diversity was awesome. Having an opportunity to work with you know military, police officers, firefighters, all these people that work in really prestigious fields gave me just more drive, more sense of purpose. I started establishing friendships with these people over the years, and I really looked up to Randy, and I still do, because I saw how big of a pillar he was in the community, and I wanted to experience that. And just like anything, it's a process. I started off slow. I started establishing myself first and foremost as a barber, as a professional barber, as a good barber with skills. And then as someone who was still young at the time, still experiencing life. So I think my life experience and sharing it with, especially like older people, people older than me, it was harder for me to relate to a lot of people. All I can do is really listen. And I think eventually, just I've experienced enough in life to be able to connect with anybody. Doesn't matter what age, color, creed, background. I started to realize I had that same gift, and I did whatever it took to participate more in these events that Mr. Mitchell would organize with the back to school events, and I knew I would have to participate in these events to become a bigger pillar in my community. So I wanted to be more than a barber, because a barber, I think in a traditional sense, is someone that just cuts hair. But I think when you're um, a barber who is extremely passionate about not only cutting hair, but your community, you start to look for other ways to reach out, because there's a lot of people that come through the doors of the shop that are in a state of crisis, and it's not about the haircut, or people that are poverty stricken. So maybe it's not about the money, you do a haircut for free because that child hasn't got a haircut in 4 years, or maybe you slow down on the haircut because someone wants to talk about their dilemmas, and
Great. Mr. Curiel, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt at this time. Make sure you stick to the scope of the question
oh, okay.
and
Okay.
don't go beyond the scope of the question.
Okay, so I think I'm just trying to come to full circle here where, I participated in a lot of these events and a lot of these opportunities to become the barber I wanted to be. And eventually I had an opportunity to invest into Uppercut, and that gave me peace of mind knowing that I could be I could, actually invest and actually own a part of something that I love and appreciated. I knew I wanted to work with Uppercut the rest of my life. As long as I cut hair, I knew that it was just a golden opportunity. I wasn't going to say no.
And what was the impediment to getting the Rockland location, which you partially owned, licensed?
So I remember the process of getting the building set up for, to get the business started. And it was a slow process because we didn't have barbers at the time, so we focused more on getting the actual establishment ready, right? Everything up to standard with the whatever's required for the establishment, for the facility. And then we didn't open right away. It was a bit of a standstill. And now we're nearing, getting closer to 2019, towards the end of the year. And I remember we're trying to get the establishment license um, set, and there was some sort of issue with the paperwork that was submitted. There was some sort of issue there. It was never really clear to us what happened, but a few months down the road, the pandemic happened, and I know it was impossible to get your barber license or an establishment license, and everything was closed. And so it obviously wasn't a priority because, Uppercut Marysville was 100% legitimate and abiding by all the compliance set by the board. So it only made sense that Rockland would also be doing the same. So I think it was an issue with the timing. We had our heart set on getting everything established accordingly, but the pandemic just kind of threw a dent in on that, and then everything spiraled out of control after that.
So why did you not respond to the accusation instead of allowing your license to be revoked by default?
So my main concern at the time, I remember having investing into the business, and recently being married, just kind of starting my life all over, all these opportunities that I went for. I didn't have much money left, and I didn't really know how to react to the situation because I was such in a financial bind that um, didn't know what to do. And I was just in a situation where I was kind of going day by day and hoping that things would clear up and there'd be a chance to go back and get everything in order. But it seemed like things just kind of, like I said, it just got out of hand, and that took a lot longer than expected. So, things just kept kind of pushing forward from there.
Did you know at the time that by not responding to the accusation, your license could be revoked?
I did go over the notice that I received, and again, I was hoping that we can get to some sort of resolution before it would come to that.
Okay. What work have you done since your license has been revoked?
So I have a bit of a background in computer graphics and a little bit of programming, and I've been doing a lot of freelance work. Something I did um, early on in my barbering career, I did on the side, and I resorted to that on and off. But I also own several ATM machines that I was fortunate enough to have those set in place. So when I did lose my license, when I stopped cutting hair, I basically just relied on the cash flow from the ATM machines, and it's been like that since. I also, along the way, found an opportunity to work with car modification, specifically vinyl wrapping. It's something that started trending, and I had some experience in, so I gave it a shot. And it's like I said, it's nothing I ever poured my heart into, but I have to pay the bills, and every year got more expensive, and I just had to take care of my family. So I've been just kind of I've been scraping by. I've been scraping by credit cards, bank loans, accumulating debt, these things that I've never used before, but I'm fortunate enough that I had a good enough credit to use those resources. But I'm at the point now where I I just want my barber career back. I just this other stuff is only gonna keep me afloat for so long.
What can you acknowledge about any wrongful conduct on your part that led to the revocation of your license?
Um, I guess not not making an effort to communicate with the board. and just basically ignoring the notices and hoping that, again, like I said, I was hoping that some natural resolution would come and then we would be able to discuss it then. I didn't expect it to get to the point of getting my barber license revoked, but I kind of just let nature take its course. And like I said, I think I could have made a better effort, especially now understanding how reasonable the board is. And, I think I could have at least contacted somebody directly and been able to kind of just get a better understanding of what's going on and not look at it as such of like a policed state, such a policed situation where it's just black and white. I definitely believe there was some gray areas to it, and but at the time I didn't believe so, and I was worried that barbering would never be the same, and I was worried that the board obviously always is going to have the public's interest. That's the number one priority. That's for sure. But it made me question about the barbers' um, safety and their livelihood, and it made me question about my career as a license holder. Like, how important am I to the board as an individual, as a barber, a licensed barber? And again, I know how the Department of Consumer Affairs works. Um, the public. It's number one, and I'm a member of that. And I was worried for my health, but I'm also worried about my career at the time. I'm worried about my livelihood. So yeah, I didn't make an effort to contact the board. Instead, I chose to just put it in God's hands, to be honest.
And what assurances can you give the board that should your license be reinstated, that you would fully comply with all the board laws and regulations that are in place during the entirety of your licensure?
Well, just to start off, I mean, my track record, I think, speaks volumes on it. I've never had any violations with state board. I never had any violations for, sanitation or, disorderly conduct. I never had any complaints from the public. I've never had anything of that matter. So, I mean, number one, I would continue to go back to that. I would just try to keep everything to its highest standard because that's a reflection on myself as a professional. The board itself, right? That's what they expect. And I don't see why I would want to do anything other than that. And again, um, because I know, we're here talking today because not any of that, but because of, my response to the pandemic. I mean, it's a big learning experience. There was no real guidebook for that. And again, like I said, I was going day by day as everything was evolving. So, sure, now I know. Now I've learned a lot from it. I understand how these things work. I understand how the board will resort to whatever action to make sure I get the point. And, that's why I'm here today. So, heaven forbid that, we have to go through this again. But I mean, I would totally understand what to expect from the situation. And I would know how to communicate with the board better to get a better feel of what's going to happen, how to handle the situation. And, I wouldn't just ignore it. So I would try my best to be compliant with the board. And I mean, that's it. I would work with the board to understand how to handle the situation instead of trying to navigate it by myself, and just with uncertainty. The board's there for a reason. And if the pandemic or something were to happen again, I would expect the board to have, clear guidelines to follow and just have that issued as soon as possible. And I would have that reference from just the start.
And for example, in your case, the board did issue at least 2 notices directly to Uppercuts, indicating that you should not be operating. So that was a clear directive. Can you explain why you ignored those directives and the state and local ordinance directives to not operate?
So, going back to having the issue of not being able to get the establishment license, that was a big part of the problem because I knew as long as we didn't have that establishment license, that business wasn't going to operate the way the board wanted to. So I know we had issues with that. So, I'm struggling to get this business license, which I know is extremely important because who's going to want to work for us without that? And then the few people that were there were keeping the business afloat. And, I think a lot of my decision of just remaining open had to do with the barbers and their livelihoods and their fear, acting out of fear. So, you know, all we could do is just hope that, again, things would just kind of blow over and things would get better and we would find some middle ground. But, I really had an opportunity to speak with the barbers in Rockland at the time who were all licensed, who were all legit, and it was a group decision. We wanted to make sure that they were okay with it, and I didn't want to make any decisions without being 100% clear on what the future is going to hold. And I know it's at the cost of my barber license. I look back now, and it hurts me. It hurts, and I know I made the wrong decision. But again, I just acting out of fear. I didn't know what to do. I really wasn't prepared for this, and just being a minority owner, I just I only have so much say. So I just again followed my gut and was just waiting for some sign of something giving up. But it was too late by then, by the time I had my license revoked. So um, ultimately, I paid the price.
Now, both yourself and Randy Mitchell, who you were part owners with in the Uppercuts in Rockland, have petitioned at the same time before this board to seek reinstatement of your license. Do you intend to go back into a partnership with one another?
I have no intentions of owning any kind of establishment. I mean, again, learning from this experience, I don't want to be in a position where I have to make a decision like that. I would imagine um, if I were to own my own establishment, it would be private. It would be just me by myself. So that way I'm not making decisions for a large group of people because it gets really complicated when there's other people with their livelihoods on the line and their kids and their families, and it puts a lot of pressure on the owner to make these decisions. And I totally understand where Randy Mitchell's coming from because, he felt that pressure from multiple people and not just, guided by his own beliefs and whatever he wanted to do. That's what makes it complicated. So I believe if I were to ever own my own establishment, it would be private. If anything, I would probably have my wife, who's very interested in cutting hair. She would probably be where she would be apprentice under my barber license, which is a big part of the reason why I want my barber license back. So I could apprentice my wife, and I can have a private space for me, her, and a space for my son to be raised in, so he can grow up in that environment. And that's not to downplay anything Mr. Mitchell has established with Uppercut. I love Uppercut. I love everything they've done for the community. I would still want to participate in their events with the children and stuff. But as far as owning a part of Uppercut, no, that's not in my that's not in my that's not in my intentions. I need to just I need to just focus on cutting hair. I need to start over. That's my biggest thing. I want to cut hair again.
Where would you plan to work if you were given your license back?
At the moment, it's not clear to me. Again, I would probably explore the local area, or something. I would have to talk with the owners of Uppercut because right now it's just off the table. I'm a liability without a license, and I totally respect that. I stepped away peacefully, and I would most likely have to just get my own establishment if I had no other option. But if there was an opportunity to cut hair with Uppercut, I would be gladly, I would accept the opportunity. But if there wasn't, then I would have to resort to possibly owning my own establishment.
Have you taken any self-study courses you mentioned when you were studying for the state board exams that you kind of did your own self-study to pass? Since your license has been revoked, have you taken any self-study courses or anything to keep yourself updated on any of the laws and regulations of the board?
Yes, yeah, extensively because the situation that we were in had me constantly referencing the Board and Barbering's website. Everything's accessible on there. So I was seeing as things were evolving because I know the board went through some major overhauls, I believe, during 2021, and I got really interested in what has changed, what was changing. Because again, I was still hoping that we can kind of go back and find some middle ground, but I really got obsessed with understanding um, the laws and regulations, and as well as the legislative codes pertaining to the business and profession to barbering. I saw everything evolve, and I kept my eye on it. I wanted to know, and I mean, I'm a business owner. I own my ATM machines. I've owned different businesses in the past, and I understand the importance of knowing what those rules and regulations are in your industry because you can't operate without it. So yes, to answer your question, I'm very familiar with the board's policies and ongoing changes.
And initially in your opening statement, I think I heard you say that you're also addressing your own physical and mental health issues through therapy, I believe is what you said. Can you tell us more about how you've addressed some of those issues?
So I started to have some health issues in 2021, and it was a long road of trying to get properly diagnosed. My doctor suggested that I was overcome with stress, obviously related to the situation, the pandemic, and a lot of it was manifesting physically. And I started to seek counseling. I started to, use my local resources, and I have close friends and that go to therapy, and I was very open about some of these things I was feeling, mainly anxiety and depression, and I used those resources to talk to try to get a better understanding of what I was feeling because I was scared. I've had a difficult life. I've been through a lot of stuff, and I think things are different when, for once, you think your life is getting better, you're making progress, your past is behind you, and then suddenly you lose all that. I don't think I was prepared for that mentally. Like I said, I've been through so much death, loss, friends, drugs, and been seeing people losing their life to so many things that I guess I had a lot of stuff built up over the years. And then my final breaking point was just, losing my license and dealing with the pandemic. Um, my my wife was pregnant at the time, which again also um, was more uncertainty in my life. So, being a new father, being newly wed, um, my living conditions at the time were very humbling in a small garage, and I was converted to a room. And I was very hopeful, though. I was hopeful that life would get better, but my wife suggested that I continue to seek assistance from, counselors and therapists because she saw a huge shift in my happiness, and there's just no denying it now. I could only, fake it till I make it for so long, but I can feel, I can feel the scars from this whole experience just really deep in my heart. And I think getting my license back, I know getting my license back and just slowly working my way back into my happiest point in my life would definitely help my mental health. My physical health will yet to be determined on what I can withstand. Barbering is a very physically taxing job. I've done it for a very long time. I understand, but it's my best shot. and anything else in my life. I don't want any of the mental health to get worse.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
All right, so next, are there any questions from the board? Madam President?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Curiel. I'm just going to explain what my concern is, and then I'm going to ask you to just respond to it. So you described how you were setting up your shop. You knew that there was no establishment license, and you went ahead and opened and accepted clients anyway. That's what I heard your narrative. I appreciate related to that, I appreciate all the letters that you submitted from the community. It's great to see that you have such a strong support network. However, a lot of these letters make it clear or indicate that you have continued to cut hair. Many of them refer to you consistently being their barber for 4 years, 5 years, 7 years now. So that suggests to me that you've continued cutting hair even though your license was revoked in 2021, and you have already told us that you knew that it was revoked. And so all of this together is showing me, or at least is suggesting to me, that you're telling us that you care about the board's, regulations, but you haven't actually complied with them, not then and not now. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to respond to that, to those things that I'm seeing and that I've heard from you already.
Sure. So, shortly after I started having health issues, I really did completely stop cutting hair for a long period of time. Again, I physically wasn't able to cut hair. And through that process, I slowly recovered enough to attempt. So any attempt that I made to cut hair again was an attempt to see where I stood physically, and also for the sake of, again, providing for my family. So I just was doing whatever I had to do at the time. And then eventually my health took another downward spiral, and I stopped completely, and I stopped cutting out of the shop, and I just completely backed out of it totally. And at that point, I just decided to just wait and be patient. And any haircuts that I did since then have been just privately at home with like just my close relatives and some longtime clients. But everything's been just like, people, visiting me, or I'd go visit them. And it was, again, like I didn't know what to do. It was so hard to let go of something I love so much, but it was this constant battle, no longer a battle between, like, in my mind, like me and the board of barbering or the laws or my license. It was just me versus me and my health, and knowing, like, can I physically still cut hair? Can I physically do this? And anytime that I had an opportunity to cut someone close to me, it gave me this reassurance that I do still have hope in this career. I can do this rehabilitation, this physical therapy to get better. And it was just my lifeline. So to answer your question, yes, I continued to cut hair, um, but none of it was in the same setting I was once before all this happened. Everything changed around me, and now I just basically am at the point where I don't cut at all. Not even close family at this point, because again, my health and my situation at home and my responsibilities as a father has become a priority for me.
Were you accepting money for these haircuts that you just described?
So anything that I did after that point, especially with the visits at home, it, like, again, people gave me money, but it was almost at their discretion. I was not charging, I wasn't advertising my services to the public. I wasn't listed on Google. I didn't have a service to book with me. It was people who would just come visit me. And then I always felt like those relationships, those friendships that I built were more of their concern for me as a person, more so than as a person offering services as a barber. So, it takes me back to my very early days as a barber, where I cut hair because it was a test to see if this is something I wanted to do in the future. And I resorted back to that again, where any opportunity that I had to cut hair was a test to see if this is something I can continue to do in the future from a physical standpoint.
Thank you, Mr. Curiel. That's all my questions, Your Honor.
All right, Madam Vice President, any questions?
Yes, hi, Mr. Curiel. Again, Tanya Fairley, Vice President and also industry member, salon owner and stylist. You stated several times that you had started your application, you dropped it off. My question to you is, it states that October 2019 was when your establishment application was actually received. And then 2 weeks later, the 31st, the board sent you letters stating that the application wasn't complete and the information that was needed. That was in October. What happened with that?
So I remember that clearly because at the time the business still wasn't operating. We took a long time to get it set up. And one of the things that we overlooked was getting access to our mail. And I remember we were having issues trying to get things set up with the internet and other services. And the things with the mail got misplaced. We didn't have a key for it. It required a locksmith to get redone. And I know there was a long period of time there where, I mean, that explains a lot why the timeline's weird because it went from us submitting the paperwork to wondering what happened, and then the pandemic happening and being so heavily invested into it. At that point, it was just that was it. We just basically didn't get the communication there on our end. We didn't receive it.
Who was the main person responsible for the Rockland location?
So the Rockland location was supposed to be managed by a licensed barber. And at the time, we were trying to find people to hire. Again, the business wasn't operating until we found barbers who we then assigned a managerial role to one of the barbers there. So Mr. Mitchell and I weren't actually physically ever there at the Rockland location, other than for the initial setup and maintenance. I've never cut hair there. I don't live anywhere near Rockland. I had always been at the Marysville location when I was cutting with Uppercut. So again, as a minority investor, I basically put my money towards something that I had limited control on, and I just hoped for the best. And I knew the risk in the beginning, which was just financial, but after the pandemic, I knew the risk was bigger than that because obviously in a partnership, your name is stated on a piece of paper somewhere. So regardless if I owned 5%, 1%, I knew I would still face some repercussions. So there was really no way for me to back out of that at the time. I was already in too deep. And again, my role was very limited. I was a barber at the Marysville location, and I was ecstatic about helping the franchise expand. So I gave my part in that, but my role was very limited.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right, Ms. Ellis, any questions?
No questions.
Ms. Funk?
No questions, but I do have one comment. Just that you shouldn't have to make these large decisions in the future of whether to comply or not. We just expect full compliance. And I'm also a practicing esthetician, a small business owner, and was also sent home to sit on my butt and wait for further instructions. But the government provided unemployment during that time, and that's how I survived. So I appreciate your position and you're wanting to get reinstated, and I hope that happens for you. But just know that full compliance and you should be taken care of in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, Mr. Isbell?
Yes, I have no questions.
Great. Dr. Jimenez?
I just want a clarification. You are or you are not currently cutting hair?
At the moment, I'm not doing anything. I'm currently unemployed other than the ATM business that I own. It's my only form of income. It's passive income. And again, I still have a host of physical issues that I'm dealing with that I'm constantly seeing doctors for. And to their advice that I should really limit my physical activity, which took me out of the vinyl wrapping, and which isn't even a lot of physical activity, but again, I save a lot of my energy for my son. He's a little toddler, and sorry, but yeah, yeah, I hope I can cut hair again.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Kavanaugh?
No questions. Thank you.
Ms. Miller?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Munoz?
All right. Hi, Mr. Curiel. Thank you so much for everything that you've been sharing. And I know this is really hard, and I think COVID was hard on everyone, especially for your industry. It sounds like you have plans to hopefully own your establishment someday. So I'm kind of in the spirit of your progress and rehabilitation from this. I have a few questions about that. And I think you might have been in the room for the last one, but I had said for the last hearing, but I had wanted to kind of calibrate and remind us that your passion, which I love to hear that, and I think you do a lot for your community, that's between you and yourself. And today we're talking about your license, which is your commitment to public safety. So that's where I'm going to go next. And I'm looking at page item 6 for you. And the document is your default decision and order, page 10. On or about October 22nd, board inspector inspected the unlicensed barber shop at the premise of UCB Rockland. During the inspection, they observed 4 employees and 2 members of the public. No one was wearing facial coverings. There was no disinfecting station. And the inspector observed the barbering services were being offered to the public for compensation. During the inspection, respondent Curiel stated that our other shop was just inspected and that inspector was escorted out. And I'm being very nice right now. You had the opportunity to have something in your name and kind of under your leadership in that moment. I have a question for you. Do you feel like the way that you responded in that moment was in line with the leadership you were under at that time with the original establishment owner, your co-owner, or was that your decision personally to violate and ignore the policies?
So, just want to be very clear that I know there was some confusion there. Again, I stated earlier that I worked at the time at the Marysville location, so I rarely stepped foot into the Rockland location. So whatever took place that day with that inspection, someone was confused as me, and I'm not quite sure why they just assigned my name to that person, but I was rarely physically present at that location unless it, again, like I said, my role was more of a from a maintenance standpoint and a hiring standpoint. So to be really honest with you, I'm sure you can tell by my character, my professionalism, that had I been in a situation with a direct contact with someone from the board, I would have handled that situation a lot differently because I would have been able, given the opportunity there to actually communicate with someone on the board face to face, would give me that chance to express how I feel and then get a better understanding of like how to proceed. You know, I'm not the type of person to be I'm not dismissive, I'm not confrontational. I'm a very understanding individual. I've been blessed to be mentored by, you know, highly qualified Harvard MBA engineers and masters in businesses in a in a troubled youth program I was in when I was really young, and they taught me how to communicate with people. They taught me how to work with people. They taught me how to um, settle things in a civil manner, especially when it comes to business. So again, I think only having a minority influence and control in this business, a lot of stuff was out of my control. And especially since I wasn't operating in the Rockland location, everything was at the discretion of the barbers there at the time. And I think, again, they were also acting on fear and the directive of just the other shops of how things were being managed from point A to B. And even that person who spoke with the inspector, again, I would say that's even out of their character because I think they would be more understanding. But just as how I feel, um, there was he was very limited on what he can say other than resort to, can you please step away? Because he didn't possibly want to be held liable for anything. He wasn't prepared for that. And if I was there, I would have been prepared for that. So I again, going back to what I said, I wish I had made a bigger effort to communicate with the board directly to be able to help guide and direct everyone else instead of just panicking like everyone else. But I was surrounded by panic, and that panic just put me in a position to where I knew I had to just follow. I had to follow the crowd. I had to follow the people around me because, um, I mean, again, it's everything's a blur to me. Here we are today, and I have the clarity now to speak on it because I understand the situation really well. I understand the implications of the health and safety aspect of it. I understand how important that is, especially, best believe I have gotten COVID, and I know I've gotten COVID from cutting hair, and it's actually a big part of why I have health issues today. And my son just got COVID last week, and he was admitted to the sorry.
Okay, I'm so sorry to hear that.
I don't want to talk about that.
No worries. Thank you so much. I hear what you're saying. You're thinking of the future with more clarity. Thank you.
All right. Have any of the board members thought of any additional questions in the meantime? Right, hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Curiel, for your testimony. You are excused as a witness. Ms. Crawford, do you wish to give a closing argument?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Curiel, your closing argument, please.
Sure. I think I just want to touch on one thing. It's I want to talk about the just the whole situation, where we're at today. It's so crazy looking back and seeing where we're at now and seeing other people kind of move on, and then I'm kind of stuck in the shadows. And I talked to Mr. Mitchell here and there. Like, even though I stepped away respectfully, and I know he respects me because I've done nothing but be extremely supportive and helpful in all his philanthropic work and efforts. And there's no bad blood between us. And I just want to touch on um, who he is as a person. I think he's misunderstood. I think that's been a big issue in his life. And I want to give him credit for everything that I have in my life today. I met my wife at the barber shop in Marysville. Obviously, I have a beautiful baby boy. And I just hope that the board finds it in their heart to just give everybody a fresh start because I think everybody's learned from this experience. And that's it for me.
All right, thank you. So that concludes the hearing. The record's closed. The matter is submitted and we are off the record. So Mr. Creel, as I mentioned before, the board will deliberate in closed session about your petition later on and then reach a decision. So you won't receive a decision today, but you'll receive one by mail in the future. Also, my office, either later today or tomorrow, will send you by email a copy of the court reporter form for today's hearing. And that's just in case you want to order a copy of the transcript. That form will have the information you need to go about doing so. Do you have any questions about the procedure?
I don't, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you very much. So as I mentioned, that concludes the hearing and you're welcome to disconnect or you're welcome to stay and observe.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
This is President Pham. I'm just going to clarify the schedule. If it's okay with the board members, I'd like to continue with the last hearing and then we'll do our lunch break at 1 p.m. Or if it's complete by then or earlier. Thank you. Sure. Okay. Okay. Real fast. Thank you.
Next, we will proceed to the final petition, Antonio Galaviz. And Mr. Galaviz, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Are you, oh, there we see you. You're.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Okay, good afternoon. And we cannot see you. I didn't know if you intended to turn your camera on.
Can you see me? No? Let me see.
No.
How about now?
There we go. All right.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay still?
Yes, perfect.
All right, great. So let's, or actually, before we go into the record, were you here when I went over the procedural format with the other matters?
Yes, I was observing.
Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and go back on the record. We are on the record before the State Board of Barbering and Cosmetology, Department of Consumer Affairs, State of California, in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of Antonio Galaviz. It's OAH number 2024-070-162. My name's Corin Wong. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings, and I have been assigned to preside over this matter. In order to establish a quorum of the board for the record, I ask that each member please respond audibly after his or her name is called. President Pham?
Present.
Vice President Fairley?
Present.
Ms. Ellis?
Present.
Ms. Funk?
Present.
Mr. Isbell?
Here.
Dr. Jimenez?
Here.
Ms. Kavanaugh?
Present.
Ms. Miller?
Present.
And Ms. Munoz?
Present.
Let the record reflect that a quorum of the board is present. So next, Ms. Crawford, if you'd like, oh, I guess I need to take your appearance, sorry.
Good afternoon. Anahita Crawford, Deputy Attorney General, appearing on behalf of the people of the state of California pursuant to Government Code Section 11522. I am here to assist the panel in fact-finding. My role is not adversarial, but intended to protect public interest and ensure the panel has adequate information from which to make a decision. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. And sir, you're Mr. Galaviz?
Yes, correct.
Okay, and it's my understanding you're representing yourself in this matter?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
All right, very good. Thank you. Ms. Crawford, if you'd like to provide your summary statement or introduce your petition documents, whichever you'd like to do first.
Thank you, Your Honor. The board issued barber license to the petitioner on January 16th of 2018. The petitioner's license was revoked effective March 31st of 2023 pursuant to a default decision and order. An accusation had been filed in December 21st, 2022. It alleged that on September 27th of 2017, the petitioner had made a false statement on his application for barber license when he denied having been convicted of a felony, when in fact he had been convicted of a crime in 2006, where he had pled no contest to the crime of accessory after the fact. The accusation also alleged that petitioner was performing barbering services at an unlicensed establishment. Your Honor, we have 6 exhibits in this matter. The first is the petition for reinstatement case summary. We'd like to mark and introduce that at this time.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gillivis, did you receive a copy of Ms. Crawford's proposed exhibits?
Yes, it's the one with all the tabs and stuff. It looks really nice put together, Your Honor.
Yes, yes. All right, great, thank you. So the petition will be marked as Exhibit 1 for identification. Mr. Gillivis, do you have any objection to Exhibit 1 being admitted for all purposes?
See, no.
All right, 1 is so admitted.
Exhibit 2 is the license certification for the petitioner indicating the date of issuance and that the status is currently revoked. We'd like to mark and introduce that for all purposes as Exhibit 2.
The license certification is so marked. Mr. Gillivis, any objection to Exhibit 2 being admitted for all purposes?
No, Your Honor.
2 is so admitted.
Exhibit 3 is the notice of hearing for today's hearing date. I'd like to mark and introduce that at this time.
The amended notice is so marked. Mr. Gillivis, any objection to Exhibit 3 being admitted for jurisdictional purposes only?
No objections, Your Honor.
3 is so admitted.
Exhibit 4 is the petition for reinstatement of revoked license filed by the petitioner. We'd like to mark and introduce that as Exhibit 4.
The petition is so marked. Mr. Gillivis, any objection to 4 for all purposes?
No, Your Honor.
4 is so admitted.
Exhibit 5 is the documents in support of the petition for reinstatement that have been filed by the petitioner. We would mark and introduce that as Exhibit 5.
The documents are so marked. Mr. Gillivis, any objection to 5 for all purposes?
No, Your Honor.
Right, 5 is so admitted.
And Exhibit 6 is the default decision and order along with the underlying accusation in this matter. I'd like to mark and introduce that as Exhibit 6.
The document is so marked. Mr. Gillivis, any objection to Exhibit 6 for all purposes?
No, Your Honor.
All right, 6 is so admitted.
Your Honor, at this time, I don't have any additional exhibits or witnesses to present. I would reserve on cross-examination of the petitioner.
Thank you. Mr. Gillivis, now's your opportunity to present your evidence in support of the petition. Did you have any additional documents you wanted to submit?
At the moment, no, Your Honor.
Okay. Did you have any witnesses you wanted to call other than yourself?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and swear you in right now and take your testimony. If you could raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you will provide in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor. I swear that I'm going to tell the truth.
All right, you may put your hand down. Thank you. If I could have you start by stating and spelling your full name for the record, please.
My name is Antonio Galaviz. My first name is spelled Antonio. Galaviz is Galav as in Victor, IZ.
All right, thank you, Mr. Galavis. So as you heard me explain earlier, what the board is most interested in hearing about today is any rehabilitation you have undergone since your license was revoked. You heard Ms. Crawford provide a summary of your license history and the prior discipline. And I remind you that the prior discipline has been established, so the propriety or impropriety of the discipline is not at issue today. But if you would like to talk about the prior discipline to provide some context for your rehabilitation, you're certainly welcome to do so. But again, you'll want to focus on rehabilitation, which is what the board's most interested in. Also, the board has had the benefit of reviewing your petition and supporting documents prior to the hearing, so it's not necessary to repeat what you put in your documents. But if there's anything you want to highlight as being particularly significant, you're welcome to do so, as well as provide any testimony highlighting any rehabilitation or anything else you'd like the board to consider. So with that, whenever you're ready.
Okay, Your Honor, I'll try my best to communicate so you guys can understand my rehabilitation. Since I got my license revoked, I removed myself from Uppercut Barbershop. And I'm trying to start, I knew I was gonna maybe get a chance to get my license back as a barber. So I went ahead and invested in possibly, with your permission, to get my license back so I can start my own business. I did some research and I actually took action, and I found out that I don't need a barber's license to get an establishment license. So I went ahead and purchased one through you guys, the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. Don't know if you guys could see it through the thing, but I went ahead and tried to invest in not only myself, but I wanted to bring a close friend of mine up. He graduated from barber college, and I put him in place of a partnership with him running it, with me just kind of stepping away. At the moment, he got really sick and almost lost his foot due to diabetes. So right now, I'm not operating. I don't know if this is a rehabilitation, but I discovered that I have other abilities to do besides barbering. I am a laborer. Barbering is a labor kind of job, and I'm also an entertainer. I'm a DJ, and I just, oh yeah, and I'm actually working at a walnut sheller now, Shoei Foods USA. They're on Feather River Boulevard and in Olivehurst, California. I think the address is 1900 Feather River Boulevard in Olivehurst. And so, I've been just living life, and I touched the fire and I got burnt, and I just don't want to ever experience a loss as one that we had. And it took me a long time, a lot of years to get my barber's license. It took about 3 attempts to get my barber's license, and it took 2 different schools. So I don't know if that answers me being rehabilitated, but I'll reassure you that I touched the fire, I got burnt, and I don't want to ever bend or break the law. whether it be state or federal. And that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. Cross-examination, Ms. Crawford?
Thank you. What is the name of your current establishment?
It's TTB Services Artist and Entertainment LLC. The reason why I picked that name was because I'm a DJ, and I also try to produce music on the side. So I had an LLC, so I just tried to use the same name and it worked. I want to say if I do get um, my barber's license back, I think I would just cancel this establishment license and I'll just put it under my name, Antonio Galavis's Barbershop.
So if your establishment name is TTB Services, Artists and Entertainment, how does the public know that it's a barbering shop?
Well, it's not something that I was trying to push. I had that name, and the reason why I got the establishment license is because um, my partner, which his name is Antonio Romero, he was afraid of taking that leadership role. So if something went wrong, he didn't want to lose his barber's license. So I wanted to provide some skin in the game to show him that, hey, I'm with you. So I was just helping him out. I live in an apartment, so me having him do that was kind of prepping me for the future to see if you guys gave me another shot, I'd be in the game. But also it gave me an office space to practice my craft without getting evicted by the noise of DJing and producing music.
So are there two businesses that you're running out of TTB Services, out of the same location?
I would say technically yes, but there's no service to be done. It's just an office space where I have my equipment. And it's by word of mouth. I'm not announcing it anywhere or anything. It's if I DJ at a bar, they'll say, "Hey, can you come and do a wedding or whatever?" I'd be like, "Yeah, come to the office and you'll see the setup before you even pay. I want you to see it. It's like a little display of my DJ setup. I got lights there." So there's no service with the DJ. It's mainly an office space.
And then is there any barbering services that are taking place at that same location?
No, and it hasn't been for months now. There was. If you look up the name, I don't have an exact date because I'm bad with dates and stuff like that. But if you look up that name, TTB Services, the name by Antonio Romero will show up. And at first, he did want to put it under his name, but as I was educating him and having that role, I was telling him that he needs to be more clean. So we had a kind of a bumping of heads because I felt like I was a janitor there to keep on cleaning up after himself. So then I told him that he might need to pay me by the hour for cleaning up after him because, you know, I just didn't want any issues with the board. If they were to show up, he was going to say, hey, this and that. But I wanted to clarify it up front and let him know that if they come, the reason why I put your name on there was because I wanted you to have some skin in there. And then he just said, hey, I don't want to have my name on there. So I drove him all the way to Sacramento, and I told him, "Hey, let's cancel it." And while I was there, um, we applied for one under my name to let him know, "Hey, I don't want you to leave off of fear of you losing your license or anything. You know, if you're not clean, you still have to get hit, as well as the owner of the establishment license." So it was just like an education with my partner, and then my partner got sick and he almost got his foot amputated. So right now there's no operation there of barbering. There's no barber pole. There's nothing. It's just an office space with no advertisement. It's just like a facility to hold my stuff, kind of like a storage unit.
When was the last time that you did any barbering services?
I want to say last year when my license got revoked.
You said last year?
Yes.
Okay. So your license got revoked in March of 2023. So it was when your license got revoked that you did not cut any more hair?
Right.
Okay. And you were working at an unlicensed establishment. That was part of the accusation that was filed against you. Do you recall that?
Yes, that's what I'm seeing on this, and hearing the arguments and everything, it was just chaos. We had a license, we didn't have a license, and we just lost. I don't know. I just, you know,
What
but
was the name of the establishment?
but I accept the penalty.
What was the name of the establishment?
Uppercuts.
In which location?
In Wheatland.
And you were part owner in that Uppercuts, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so we've heard about the issues with the Rockland location that Mr. Curiel partially owned. Why was the Wheatland location, which you partially owned, not licensed?
Was it never licensed, or was it licensed at one point?
It was not licensed at the time that you were working there.
Like I said, as far as I knew, it was licensed, and then if it wasn't licensed, it was just a bunch of chaos going, and I'm not too sure. I knew that I wasn't a partner the whole time. As soon as um, I got hit, I actually got arrested and got taken to Yuba County Jail. Um, the business quickly got dissolved because I didn't like how things were happening between uh, the main owner and myself, the co-owner. So we dissolved our partnership. Everything got transferred.
And was the other owner Randy Mitchell?
Correct.
Okay. So you, as well as Randy Mitchell and another petitioner, have sought to reinstate your licenses pretty much within months of one another. What is your plan together if your license is reinstated?
Ma'am, there is no together. I'm not gonna work for Uppercut. So there's no continued partnership. As I shown you, I got my establishment license with hopes that you give me another chance for a barber's license, so I can just do my own thing and have my own future in my hands. I don't blame him. I don't blame anyone. I was just in a bad spot, and I made a bad decision. I know that I'm a grown man, and if I didn't agree with something, I could have stepped away, but I didn't, and I apologize for that. But once I got arrested, um, I just lost interest in the partnership and wanted in my heart to have my own.
And why are you seeking reinstatement at this time, which happens to be at the same time as two other members of Uppercut?
It was just the date that you gave me. It was canceled in a certain date, or revoked, I would say. So the next opportunity to apply would be on that month, and I didn't want to waste another month. I wanted it right away. So it was just the dates
Okay.
that were given to me, not by choice.
What assurances can you give this board that you would be compliant with their laws and regulations?
Well, I'll reinsure if you ever wanted to step foot in the establishment license. I mean, in the in my establishment, which I own, I would welcome you guys in. I wouldn't keep the doors locked. I do have my license that I just purchased, and it might be a not a good investment because you might not give me my license back, but I did it to show you guys, that I want to play ball and follow the rules. And even then, looking back at what happened, it's like you woulda, coulda, shoulda. But as I was looking into what was going on, even if he didn't have an establishment license, me as a barber working at an establishment license, and I could have got my own, not for the building, but my own, and I educated myself through this experience.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
All right. Are there any questions from the board, Madam President?
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Galvez. I just wanted to briefly touch on the other part of your accusation, where there was a question about criminal history and you checked no when it should have been yes. Can you just tell us a little bit more about what happened there?
So I'm not sure what happened because I know that when I first started barbering, I was up front with the school and I marked yes. So, and that was with, what's their name? I think it's California Barbering Apprenticeship Committee. And so I was doing schooling with them. I marked yes. I remember I even put the PC code and everything. Well, I wasn't happy with that school. I did it twice. I was a failure the first attempt, second attempt, and then I quit barbering for many years. And then one of my friends was telling me, "Hey, you should get back in the game." So I listened to him, and I wasn't doing too good on money, and being an ex-felon, people take advantage of you with pay or whatnot. So I did it. I went and applied again with the same school, actually, the California and Cosmetology Apprenticeship Committee. And then I got frustrated with them, and I changed schools to Michael Burt apprenticeship. So I don't know why it was marked no, or maybe I was just tired that day. It was clearly a mistake. I don't really have nothing to hide because my charge ain't like rape, any kind of weird sex charge, any kind of pedophilia or anything that would, because like I said, when I first was trying to get my my barber's license, I remember his name was what's his name? Wow, I forget his name,
Mr.
but
Galvez,
yeah,
I
but
apologize. I don't mean to interrupt. So you're saying it was a mistake and that
it
you did not intend to click check no?
right,
You
right.
don't recall how it got checked no, but that wasn't your intention?
That wasn't my intention because
Okay.
you know, I didn't want to pursue something that would be false.
Okay, thank you very much. No further questions from me.
Thank you.
Right, Madam Vice President, any questions?
I have no questions.
Ms. Ellis,
I have no questions.
Ms. Funk,
No questions.
Mr. Isbell,
No questions.
Dr. Jimenez,
No questions.
Ms. Kavanaugh,
No questions.
Ms. Miller,
No questions.
Ms. Munoz.
No questions.
All right, just checking to see if any other board members have thought of any subsequent questions. And hearing none, thank you, Mr. Galvez, for your testimony. You are excused as a witness. Ms. Crawford, do you wish to give a closing? Mr. Galvez, your closing argument?
There's really no argument. I just hope that you guys show me some mercy, and man, I really hope that I get my barber's license back. It was clearly a mistake, and I hope everything works out for me in the future with you guys. And if it doesn't work out, we'll thank you for the time. It was a nice ride.
All right, thank you, Mr. Galvez. So that concludes the hearing. The record's closed, the matter is submitted, and we are off the record. So Mr. Galvez, as you may have heard me mention at the end of the prior two petitions, the board will deliberate about your petition in closed session in a little bit. So a decision won't be issued today, but one will be issued by mail in the future. And so it will be sent to you by mail. Also, my office will send you a copy of the court reporter sheet either today or tomorrow. And that's just for your records in case you would like to order a copy of today's transcript. That form will have the information you need to go about ordering a copy of the transcript. Do you have any questions?
Just how long did you say that it would take to get a response?
So it's usually, I don't want to say usually, but I'd say at the outset about 130 days, but it could be shorter or longer.
Oof. All right, thank you, Your Honor.
All right. So as I mentioned, that concludes the hearing. So you're welcome to disconnect, or you are welcome to stay and observe the rest of the board meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll turn the matter back over to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Okay, at this time, we will be taking a 45-minute lunch break for our staff. So let's come back at 1:35. We will be moving into closed session to deliberate on the reinstatement hearings, after which we will recommence with our regular board meeting. Thank you. 1:35.